Will. Here we are. Fucking, my camera is not working with me today, and it's driving me insane. Excuse me. Welcome, everybody, back to my Homestuck Let's Read. My name is Brodemus, but this is actually the Homestuck Epilogues Let's Read. Let's read the Homestuck Epilogues. Oh, Sarax. Oh, we're not starting. We are partway through already. But welcome, Sarax. I do have a couple of people here. Thank you, Pumpkin Gore and Dancing Roach for following. Pumpkin Gore is very on theme because it is almost Halloween season. Well, it is Halloween season, technically. Halloween season starts September 1st. I don't know what to fucking say. Pantheos, hey! Yeah, you did, Sarax. I'm sorry. We did start it last Saturday, and I forgot I was gonna do this, and I'm gonna make a note for myself because I'm gonna forget it again. I need to fucking change how I'm capturing. Homestuck Epilogues capture method, because I'm just capturing my desktop, so I don't have chat on my main window. I can only see it in Streamlabs, and it's really fucking with me. How so far? I mean, it's not bad. I want to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the way it's written. I know that was like its one redeeming factor, was that supposedly it's written very well. It seems a little too flowery for me, if I'm perfectly honest. It's a little too pretentious, I guess? I don't know. That's the only word I can really think of to describe it. But it's like, I don't feel like it's all that different from Homestuck, but it's like just a little different that I'm like, this feels really arrogant, pretentious. Like, it's too flowery for me. There's too much to it, I guess. But I mean, it's not bad. Like, I don't know. I think my biggest thing so far with it, spoilers if you didn't watch the last one or you haven't read the epilogues yet, I don't really like the characterization they went with some of them, particularly the alpha kids so far. Roxy's fine, but like, I don't get the whole like Jane is a fascist thing, I guess, because I don't really feel like she made some progress in Homestuck proper, where it was like, oh yeah, like, yeah, she's got some problems, but she's working through them, like, she's growing up, like, she's kind of still trying to figure her way through things, but then they just fully, like, threw all of that away, and, like, Dirk's basically a piece of paper. Like, he really doesn't have anything going on from the little bit that I've seen. I've only read the Meat so far, like, the first 5 of Meat, so I don't know. It's not bad, but it's, like, I can't really judge too far because I haven't gotten that far into it. I've only gotten the first 5 of Meat. I haven't even started Candy yet. But, like, so far I'm just like, I don't really get where we're going with this, I guess. But anyway, let's get started, shall we? We're a few minutes in. Alright, let's get started. We are on Meat 6, so let's just get started. Look up. I want to lean. The sky is really blue, but it's a different kind of blue than Earth sees sky. It's less, somehow, like someone took a photo of the sky and turned the contrast down a little, just enough to make the clouds blend into the horizon. That is to say, it isn't the kind of sky promised by a paradise planet, just an ordinary one. You realize suddenly how much you've missed the ordinary, as opposed to the supposedly perfect. You've been away from home almost as many years as you've lived there. It's not just the sky. Everything else is exactly and nothing like you remembered it. The scent of damp grass, the quality of the air, the solitude. There's nothing but white houses and maple trees as far as the eye can see. A woodpecker raps away incessantly at the tree with the tire swing outside your old bedroom window. You couldn't think of anywhere else to go, so you and your little army are sitting in a circle in your old backyard exactly 1 week before the meteors hit. It's you, Rose, Dave, Jade, and all 4 of your teenage progenitors, each dressed in god-tier garb. No trolls, no one who can die from anything less than a heroic sacrifice. At least, this is what you assume to be the reasoning for Rose's instructions to assemble your party this way. Wind slices down the street between the neat rows of bungalows. It's chilly, carrying air from the mountaintops with it. Even that feels different. The wind moves through you now, under your skin and right into your bones, skimming their hollows the same way it does the homes of your salamander neighbors, or the open mailbox in front of your childhood house. The smell of a cake baking wafts from the open window, and the sick stench of browning sugar fills the yard. You used to hate that too, but now it makes you want to... Hard and Dirk is just the villain now, I guess. Like that's the thing, is like I know a few things. Like I know what happened with Dirk because obviously I went through Pester Quest and I saw all that. But it's just like, why? Why did we go this route? I don't know. Dude, don't cry in front of all the cool teen versions of your friends. You hold back your tears with a big, ugly snort. Jake is sort of ruining the mood anyway by bouncing away on your old green slime pogo. Doesn't he realize how dangerous that thing is? Of course not. The fool. Dave fractures the silence by broaching a subject that's on everyone's mind but yours, apparently. So what's going to happen to everyone we left in the wrecked timeline?
Well, I don't know, actually. I've been to that timeline 4 times now. It always pretty much goes to shit.
Oh. This has been bothering me as well. Is Kanaya going to be okay? And by Kanaya, I mean everyone? Yeah, what about Karkat? And Terezi? And the mayor?
Oh my god!
What?
Actually, Dave, I hate to say it, but I think John might have actually saved the mayor by bringing us all here.
What? What could that possibly even mean?
I just remembered, before John zapped us all here and brainwashed me, I think I was going to kill the mayor.
What the fuck, Jade? No! Jade, that is seriously uncool.
I know! I was going to kick him right into the lava.
That is fucked up on so many levels, I don't even know where to begin. It's like an Escher staircase of cartoon villainy. I got nothing. It's so...
Grimbark! Woof woof.
Jesus, no, Jade, it's stone cold evil. I can't believe you just said that shit and then woofed at me. I can't even look at you right now.
Everyone, can we...
Everyone turns to look at you immediately. Like you're an authority. Which you kind of are. You are struck with a sudden and uncomfortable realization that you're the only adult in the yard. You've never felt like an adult until this moment. 18 came and went, and nothing really changed except that you're pretty certain you could grow a bitchin' mustache now if you wanted. And you might even have one by now if you didn't feel a sense of duty to uphold the sacred Egbert family tradition of shaving at least once per day, even if it isn't really necessary. You owe at least that much to the memory of your departed father. Discord? It wasn't on the Discord? Did I not hit enter on Discord? I might have been a fool. I thought I hit it. Hold on, let me check. I might be an idiot. Boy. I know I'm an idiot. Yeah, I hit it. I hit it 2:02. 2:02 p.m. Gaslighting me, boy. Anyway, welcome, bye.
Let's chill out for a minute. I'm sure this is all very confusing to all of you. About the timeline you're leaving behind... Yeah, I get it. It's weird. I've already left one major timeline behind. Well, 2 if you count the one I just came from, where we're all adults. The truth is, I have no idea what happens to these timelines and all the people living in them. When I just zap out of them, to use my retcon powers to change stuff, they might stop existing completely, I don't know. The thing is, we can't really think about it. It's tough, but if we're all acting like heroes here and trying to do the right thing, then we have to put it all behind us. It's a sacrifice we're making. I mean, we're risking our lives by fighting a powerful monster, sure, but the sacrifice I'm talking about is saying goodbye to the life we thought we belonged to and all the people in it. Probably forever. It sucks, and I'm sorry I had to ask this of you all, but there's no other way. Everyone who has ever existed and will ever exist is counting on us, I think? So, yeah.
Discord betrayed me, bastard. Bastard. Hey, Doobie's doppelganger. Welcome to the stream. Shrug. It's all you can think to do to punctuate your speech of lukewarm inspirational value. Judging from the confused looks of the others, all of them may share your assessment of your own oratorical skills except for one person. She's perked up at your spiel, regarding you with alert and admiring eyes.
Damn, John, I know we just met and all, but that was a fine-ass speech, and I don't know if I speak for the rest of my peeps here, but I'm fucking psyched. Let's do this shit.
She wonks at you. You're prepared to get passively hit on by the definitely not legal version of a girl you used to have a crush on at the age she was when you first met her, only a few hours after you watched the actually legal version of her engage in passionate hand-holding with her possibly aromantic skeleton alien monster girlfriend. You start to sweat, and again the unwelcome odor of undercooked meat emanating from your body makes itself known to your nose.
Oh, thanks. Anyway, we need to make battle plans.
You quickly distance your mind from any additional discomfiting thoughts about your old and semi-ex-flame and propel yourself into a wildly unrehearsed tactical planning session. You review each of your abilities, strengths, and weaknesses, and then cobble together a reasonably sound approach to besieging a young and bratty version of Lord English by way of surprise attack. The planning is mostly disorganized and structureless, although some common themes that often recur involve you and your original 3 friends leading the charge, since you are the oldest and wisest, and therefore the strongest, with the exception of Jade, whose gaudy array of powers make her the most formidable of the group, bar none. Aside from that, it appears the consensus is that the melee will likely devolve into an absolute free-for-all, at least going by the general patterns of incoherent banter, shit-talking, and points of pedantic tactical disagreement plaguing the jam session. You overhear someone making mention of a huge gay hope bubble? That can't be right. But you didn't catch who said it. A flamboyant pink spell? Yeah, this conversation's off the rails now. At the precise moment you believe the meeting has outlasted its usefulness, Jake does you the favor of effectively pounding the gavel for adjournment by rocking back a bit too far on your lawn pogo and launching himself over the top of the ride on the next bounce. He face plants right into the dirt. Jeepers! Dirk goes to help your yard clean the Jake off its dirt. Jade follows to help out. It seems she wants to chat with Jake, considering it's the first time they've met. From her perspective, some eruptions of chatter can be heard from other members of the group. It's easy to forget, since the reunion between your friends and all your young relatives happened so long ago from your point of view, but this is all quite novel to everyone here. They've hardly had a moment to process it, since your plan to drag them all off to fight Lord English has understandably stolen the thunder of an otherwise poignant homecoming. Poor kids, you think. Hey, Trixie, glad you make it. Truckling, moo juice trucking. Really? Moo juice. You decide to give the teens some space to work through their shit before you take off to save the universe. You end up wandering all the way around to the other side of your house and back until you reach a window facing the neighbor's fence. You can see straight into your dad's study from here. You go still, feet rooted to the ground, heart hammering in your ribs. Or you go still, feet rooted to the ground, heart hammering in your ribs. Your dad's sitting right there, smoking his pipe and operating his professional-looking, boring gray PDA. He's got the kitchen timer set up on his desk, and you can hear the notes of his favorite fatherly jazz album filtering out through the window, which is open only an inch. The sun is hitting the glass in such a way that you can't see his face. This is probably the last time you'll ever have the chance to talk to him. Oh, this is upsetting. Okay, so this whole reconnaissance thing going on here. This is what happens at Pasture Quest, right? This is when MSPAR and John hide behind the bushes, and you see adult John and all the teen versions of them get together because they're older than John in that moment, but only by a couple years. But there's an adult John. Yeah, okay. The urge is overwhelming, but you can't, and not just because your feet won't move and your throat is closing up. It's just that it would be a really bad idea to bother him. It would totally freak him out to have an adult version of his son show up out of the blue and knock on his window like a creep. He probably wouldn't even recognize you. Fair enough. It's time to go, John. You return to the backyard. Your teen friends have split off into genetically segmented groups. Roxy and Rose sitting in the grass, Jade and your shared ectoparents laughing together by the green slime pogo, and the Striders leaning against the farthest fence, with a tense foot and a half a space between them. It's heartwarming. But something doesn't feel right about it to you, possibly for selfish reasons. It's the selfishness of your own perspective, of wanting the memories you had of the reunion between all these people to be the most notable and legitimate manifestation of this event, to see the moment echo or play out all over again, to overhear the heartfelt confessions repeat themselves. It feels cheap. To you, that is. To the man who lived through it all before and selfishly doesn't want to have the memory tarnished with a tawdry reprisal, an exhibition of counterfeit emotional catharsis among pale shadows of those you care about most in the world. You wonder, do you see these teen versions of your friends as real? Are you treating them as at Rose's behest as simple puppets, doing your part to insist they fill friend-shaped recesses in an essential plan to stabilize all else that can be considered important, a distinction that no longer applying to them? Do you care at all about whatever fate it may be that you are sentencing these children to? Are you becoming complicit in the fatalistic evils of Paradox Space as Lord English himself? Are you becoming a monster, John Egbert? You can't bear to watch them bond any further than this. Nor can you tolerate another moment of your self-incriminating reverie. You wait one more minute before breaking it up, but not a second longer.
Hey, kids.
Please, adult John, don't do that. Rose gets up from the grass, elegant as a fold in paper, and brushes down her skirt. She tilts her head at you, looking very much like your Rose did when she saw you off that morning. It's obvious that she's trying very hard to hide her apprehension. Is it time to go?
Yeah. I mean, no, if you want to be technical, I can zap us in whenever. Wherever, whenever. We have all the time in the universe if we want it.
But if we don't leave now, you're afraid we never will? After all these years, in the reverse direction, she still has your number.
I guess it's true that people don't really change. They just grow up.
Rose gives Roxy a strange look, appearing to silently acknowledge an entire conversation that has been taking place using a great volume of words that aren't being spoken. I guess. She smiles. Get the show on the road.
Okay, everyone. I've never zapped this many people before, so let's all just, hold hands, maybe? In a circle, I mean. That should work.
God, this is so lame.
It's not lame, it's perfect.
Nah.
Shh. Alright, is everyone ready then?
Only Jade says yes enthusiastically. Everyone else takes a deep breath and looks around at each other. Hands are taken, some tentatively, some firmly. When all sweaty teenage palms are correctly clasped, you place your own hand on Jade's shoulder and concentrate on where you need to go. The last thing you hear before zapping away is your dad's kitchen timer going off in his study. Oh my, that's a lot of purple. There's a lot of purple and orange. I'm missing things. It's a whole trucking company. That's for the vibes. Bad pun jail. Wait, bread vibes. Bread vibes. The boxing bell is meet 7. The boxing bell is going off like it's having a fit. Dirk has to stick a finger in one ear to hear what Rose is saying over the cacophony of boos and buckets being lobbed towards center stage. He considers it all pretty fucking annoying, so he flips off the crowd and jumps the ropes. Always a good idea to abscond from the stadium before the customary show and riot hits full swing. The last standing robot scoops up Jake's unconscious body and cradles him to its chest before blasting off through the roof. On the other end of the phone, Rose lets him know what's up. Oh, excuse me, fucking hell. Oh, I'm an animal. Allegedly, a sizable amount of my family is from some Scandinavian country, probably Norway. At least according to my grandfather years ago. Their last name was Johnson with an O. So, allegedly, I do have some Norwegian blood in me somewhere. It's not so much what is up as what is down, the answer to which is proverbially me. I mean that both physically and philosophically, by the way.
You're down philosophically?
Yes. I'm not sure what that actually means. What doesn't it mean, Dirk?
I'm glad to see that my genetic predisposition for melodrama is still alive and well in my slime progeny, even after all these years.
Please don't interrupt. This is important, and I'll need all the energy I can spare to sustain even a heavily monologic transmission of the relevant facts.
I see. Forgive my brief, casual interjection into the conversation you initiated. Please continue.
Thank you. Anyway, the matter at hand is my condition, with which you're already familiar. I've struggled to devise the right way of telling you without causing undue alarm, which would unquestionably trigger the overbearing tendency of yours to solve the problem for me, which is not the kind of circumstance my constitution can withstand these days. I can barely lift a wrist to my forehead to telegraph my infirmity of late. Your bullshit is precisely the 1,000-pound feather that could knock me clean through my apartment's plate glass window.
This is troubling to hear, of course, but rest assured, I'm taking solace in the fact that your infirmity doesn't seem to have spread to your vocal cords yet.
See, Dirk, this is exactly the shit I don't need from you on this day.
Sorry.
The bottom line is this. I am ascending, and it is terrible.
You look at... That's fair, boy. Buffering. No! Doppelganger.
Rose adjusts her position on the couch with the body language of one about to dive into the latest gossip about a mutual friend. The mutual, in this case, her tortured psyche. Years of refining my seer of light powers have cursed me with what is approaching near infinite prescience. Prescience? Prescience. Dwelling in this idyllic post-canon realm has worn down the barriers separating my primary consciousnesses from the memories and experiences of all my doomed alternate selves, which were forgotten and discarded over the due course of our journey. As I approach the realization of my ultimate self, I cannot stop the extant knowledge from seeping in. I am plagued by near constant visions from the less fortunate versions of myself, as well as a broadening view of the metatextual nature of our existence. Day by day, I get closer to comprehending the full picture of the narrative. However, I am still trapped in this limited body. There is only so much strain that my very finite synapses can take. It drains all my energy to keep my consciousness focused on relevant events, but even then I am losing my ability to discern what is and is not canonically relevant, let alone what is also true or essential. And all of this is making me incredibly fucking sick. Oh, is that all?
Well, in the spirit of full disclosure, same.
Rose is silent on the line for a few moments. Dirk can hear how labored her breathing is, how thin it is. She snorts out a quick, humorous laugh. Really? That's the hottest take you can manage?
Of course not. They haven't built the vessel yet that can withstand the temperatures of atmospheric entry into one of my hotter takes, let alone the hottest. It wasn't a take. It was an empathetic admission toward my pitiable, similarly omniscient-stricken offspring. We are suffering from the same condition, Rose.
She allows several rare conversational beats to pass in silence between them to process the admission. We are?
Sure.
It doesn't sound to me like you're suffering much at all.
Well, I'm not. I guess I used the wrong phrase. You are suffering from it. I'm adapting to it. I already have, really.
When were you going to tell me this?
When you're ready.
So you have determined that I'm ready to receive this rather critical piece of information now of all times? What distinguishes the present from the other moments you could have mentioned it? Were you waiting for the effects of my condition to become so unendurable that I finally felt the need to explain what was happening to me in full? Were you, in essence, waiting for a cry for help?
Wow, well, when you put it that way, it makes you sound like kind of a dick, but I guess it isn't far from the truth either.
Unbelievable. Look.
It's not something you just spring on people that frivolously. Hey, folks, just so you know, the boundaries of my awareness are coming apart. Now I know almost everything about everyone, everywhere. Also, the process should be tearing my body apart, but actually I'm handling it quite well. Thanks for the concern, though. Anyway, just thought I'd keep y'all fucking abreast on my incomprehensible brain and all. Peace.
Fine, you're a cagey guy. This isn't breaking news. I'm not pissed at you. I'm just so confused. Why aren't you suffering the same effects as me?
There'll be time to explain all this. Despite whatever appearance of callousness I have maintained in withholding this information from you, I actually do have your best interest in mind. I don't want to wear you out on this call. There's so much more to say, but it can wait. For now, I'll just mention that I've been alert to your problem for some time, and I've been devising a solution which should permanently remedy it without compromising the boon of your expanded consciousness.
You have? What is it?
Would love to tell you, but I've got some work to do. Why don't you stop by my studio later so we can hash this shit out in person? Right now, you should get some rest.
Actually, I'm feeling oddly invigorated suddenly. I think I'm good for more exposition if you are.
Can't say I'm surprised, but no.
Have I caught you at a bad time?
Nah, but there's an election coming up. And my work as a political operative is going to be absolutely essential for the fate of humanity.
I see. Wheels within wheels, I assume?
There are always wheels. Wheels are everywhere. They aren't my wheels or yours. The wheels don't have owners or designers, but they do have caretakers. They won't keep turning on their own without someone to grease the mechanism.
What a burden it must be to recognize oneself as the sole mechanist of reality itself.
It's a curse, but somebody's got to do it. Save your strength. Come to my studio when you're feeling up to it. Goodbye.
Dirk hangs up without waiting for a reply. He cracks his neck and tips down his shade so that he can appreciate the full brunt of the sunset, purple and orange, blending brilliantly on the horizon. She's right about him, he thinks. While his ecto-daughter views herself as having a somewhat deft artistic hand that lends itself naturally to a gentle push-and-pull style of influence, Dirk knows his methods are mechanical, like those of an engineer. There's nothing adaptive or interpretive about his method. Every piece has a purpose, a slot, an interlocking mechanism that is functionally pointless without the whole. Dirk, satisfied with this moment of particularly astute self-reflection, rocks back on his heels and launches himself into the sky.
Fucking hell.
Seeing Dirk's fake orange text makes me angry.
John, zap to your final destination.
Where the hell are you?
Where the hell are we? I can't see shit.
Shh! It's dark. Not like someone turned out the lights dark. More like someone destroyed the concept of light as its at its very source dark. It's a darkness that fills up your skull. Jake puts this more eloquently as always. By golly, it is indeed dark as fuck.
Shush.
Jade breaks off from the group. She moves through the air gracefully, ears twitching as she sniffs through space like a bloodhound.
There!
She exclaims and points down. All the way down. Look down. All the way down beneath you, there is a light source, gray, focused, like a spotlight. Except that it's folded over the curvature of the space beneath it. At the center of it stands teenage Lord English, all decked out in his ostentatious god-tier jammies. Gamzee's there too, for some unfathomably stupid reason. There's a robot bunny chilling out on top of a chest, looking cool and kicking its cute little bunny legs back and forth. You hope that neither of these unexpected dramatis personae will play a role in the coming battle, because it wouldn't feel right wailing on either of them at this point. Lord English is holding something that looks like Little Cal? It's definitely Little Cal, and Lord English is definitely waltzing around with it in his little spotlight in the middle of nowhere, swinging the puppet around by both his floppy arms. Well, rather, he was waltzing around. He stopped the moment you looked at him. Behold your adversary. Who the fuck are you? You simply refuse to answer his question. Instead, you do something so much better. Something that will make both his inevitable fate and your regard for his character incontrovertibly clear. Give him a thumbs down. It's a textbook thumbs down. Better, actually. The kind you can't really teach. Lord English drops the puppet. For a moment, he looks shocked, maybe even a little afraid. But it passes quickly. He starts laughing.
Never mind. I know who you are. It was foretold by the masterpiece I made when I was but a boy.
What?
Be quiet. I'll have you know that you just interrupted a groundbreaking interpretive art piece. It was the first of its kind, performed only once, and made more valuable for its rareness.
Wow.
I said shut up! It's rude to talk through the overture. But don't worry, although you missed my very important dance demonstration, which was an unprecedented act of genius and not at all embarrassing, now you will participate in something even more important.
The young lord's face begins to distort. The unhinging of his jaw reverberates in the empty space. He laughs through the remainder of his nefarious soliloquy, which he has possibly prepared in advance for this moment. Hello, Hungry Wendigo. Welcome to the stream.
By now, surely you have witnessed my masterpiece, as it has circulated through the black veins of the dark web. Trillions have witnessed its majesty, haters and fools alike, and they have been rendered agog by my art virtuosity, my claysmanship, and my wrestling moves. But now, the time has come for everyone to shut up about how great my masterpiece was, and the time is now at hand.
His laughter turns into a low, cracked gurgle. It spikes toward you in waves, distorts and pitches low. He is beyond pleased with himself and with the line he's about to deliver.
For you all to become my masterpiece.
Two toys? I don't know if I get that reference. Epilogue 2. Epilogue 2? Epilogue 2? What the fuck does that mean? If you are one of the haters and fools who saw Lord English's masterpiece circulating through the black veins of the dark web and were rendered agog by its majesty, then you probably have a pretty good sense of what happened next. You probably also wouldn't be rendered that much additionally agog if you were told it didn't happen precisely as conveyed by the young lord's expertly produced claymation theater. Would it be that surprising? Would it be that surprising if the first 4 heroes weren't immediately captured in the juju as the dark web swan song broadcast through bogus Vine videos originally depicted? Probably not. Would it raise any eyebrows if the action turned out to be a bit sloppier than that? A bloody nose there, a bloody nose here, a stray wedgie there, someone trips on a cape, loud eruptions of the word ow, petulant insults, smack talk, crude gestures, and stray honks from the sidelines. Would it rock anyone's world to discover that stop-motion feature does not treat this battle royale with the utmost fidelity? No one who witnessed the spectacle online would react to these discrepancies with much surprise, but you are not such a witness. You are still John Egbert, and you had no idea what sort of raucous teen pandemonium to expect when you zapped into the lair of your nemesis to throw down. Which is why you were completely blindsided when, upon feeling overwhelmed by the melee, Caliborn sprung his gambit on you and your 3 best friends to even the odds. He opened his little red chest, and out came his white house-shaped juju, levitating there, threatening to behave as the weapon many treasure hunters throughout history have described it to be. Upon a second look, it's not quite white, though. It's colorless. Null. A house-shaped hole in your confining reality. A hole that insists on being filled. You tried to resist its overwhelming pull, but to no avail. The force is too strong. Not like the sucking from the vacuum of space, or the tug of from a gravitational singularity. It was more overpowering than any force in nature. Almost metatextual. Not negating your powers, your strength to resist, so much as it seemed to overwrite them. The juju sucked you, Rose, Dave, and Jade into its void at the speed of eternity squashed down to a half-second. You landed in the abstract prison it contains face first, alone, and with a force that made you flip over a few times and skid along by the flat of your chin. You groped for your glasses instinctively, finding them in 2 cracked halves. You cradled their remains as you looked up. The blurry, distorted face of your laughing nemesis was the last thing you saw before the chest door slammed shut and plunged you into a textual obsolescence. I know the word's obsolete. And here, you are now stuck. You will not emerge from this holding cell, from an outside perspective, for quadrillions of years. It is not long at all until you wish you had brought something to read. Hey, save. What's up? How you doing? Glad you can make it. Oh my gosh. I didn't think they were this long. I didn't think they were this long. Am I even showing my mouse? Oh yeah. Let's hide it there.
Meet 10.
Jane Crocker sweeps into her office with grace befitting her station and slams the door shut behind her. The sun cuts through her Venetian blinds, painting butter yellow strips of light all the way from one end of her impeccably tailored office to the other. It's a lovely day. It's a lovely day! Like most days, so not terribly remarkable except for the horrid news that she has just received from her at her customary morning press conference. Jane comes to a brisk stop alongside one of her floor-to-ceiling windows, which span a full 2/3 of her office, and brushes her hands over her hips to smooth the wrinkles out of her powder blue pencil skirt. Then she hems, haws, puffs out her cheeks, and takes a very deep breath before snatching a pillow off the nearest couch so she can scream into it. There are, surely, a multitude of ways for a person to find out that an acquaintance is running against you in a presidential election. From a carapacian reporter in front of 26 other members of an interspecies press was not the method Jane would have personally chosen. She is certain that she retained her poise and managed not to look too shocked at the news. She did not exclaim, "What?" but instead managed to eke out through gritted teeth and pursed lips a reasonably thoughtful-sounding, She cannot believe that Karkat would do this to her. This is no longer a political fiat, which the election would surely have been had she run uncontested by any other civilization-founding celebrities, but rather a battle between friends. What did Vantis think he was doing? No. It's not Vantis, Jane realizes. This could not have possibly been Karkat's idea. Jane knows Karkat, not intimately or even casually, but well enough to have made a generalized assessment of his basic character over the years. He is not cut out for politics, neither intellectually nor in the very important matter of social constitution. Certainly not when it comes to economic policy. In fact, Jane is pretty sure that Karkat Vantis would probably literally burst into flame if too many people happened to look at him at the same time, like a vampire walking out into the sun. Wait. Jane lowers the pillow from her face and stares at a brass and glass Art Deco ceiling. Was that vampire thing xenophobic against Kanaya, or whatever it was that Kanaya was supposed to be? No, of course not, she assures herself. With trolls, it was the other way around. Vampires were the only members of their species who didn't balk at the sunlight. Another reason Karkat would make a poor president. Unless he ran as the night president? No, the idea is foolish. Best not to give him any ideas. There can only be one president. No, surely this must have been Dave's idea. The kind of plot hatched from their little nest of mutually supportive, codependent interspecies, whatever it was they had going on over there. Dave was certainly no Dirk Strider, no Rose Lalonde, no Roxy, but he had the same scheming gene buried deep down beneath his transparent onion layers of posturing and, frankly, rather outdated humor. An instinct to plan, and despite being inarguably the dimmest of his family's impressive ectobiological stock... Oh dear, stock. That's likely a problematic word, isn't it? Jane thinks. She crosses it off her mental list of appropriate words to say during a press conference. She returns to her train of thought. Despite being the least mentally gifted member of his family, Dave has always had an awful lot of opinions on the economy. In fact, Jane cannot remember a single conversation she's ever had with him that wasn't about the economy. She thinks back to one time at John's 18th birthday when Jane engaged her in a rigorous and rather one-sided debate about deregulation and the failure of neoliberal austerity measures, until Karkat had to come over and put his hands over his roommate's mouth to make him stop talking. Come to think of it, of the few direct interactions with Karkat she'd ever had, this struck her as a truly great act of benevolence toward the common good. Maybe he would make a good president? No, she cannot succumb to such thoughts of weakness. She will not. Jane tosses the pillow back onto the couch and begins pacing the length of her office. This really was a disaster. She knew that she was solid on several demographic metrics, the human one most certainly, and the well-to-do Carapacian districts, but Karkat was incredibly popular in the Troll Kingdom, obviously, and Carapacians were widely known to be swayed by underdog populism. And the consorts? Who had even given them the right to vote in the first place? In any other year... Jane hops up to sit on her desk and kicks off both her shoes. She picks up a pen and begins to chew the end to bits to stop herself from doing the same to her lower lip. In any other year, this wouldn't be a problem. She'd be happy to accept a graceful temporary defeat and let Karkat play president for a couple of years. After all, unlike her, he was not immortal. But Earthsea's paper-thin idyllic history was very close to a boiling point. Its very first boiling point, in fact, which will have everything to do with the problematic nature of troll reproduction. The first generation of natural-born trolls obviously cannot be entrusted to a troll. Which was absolutely not a xenophobic thing to think. It was just realistic. The citizens of Earthsea were able to rest easy knowing that the government held careful reign over over matters of equity. No one could possibly trust something so important to a troll knowing what everyone knew about their violent history. Losing this election could mean social unrest, protests, even war. Jane presses her eyes shut and runs her fingers along the fine-grained patterns in her mahogany-paneled desk. She's about to think something that she has promised herself never to think again. In fact, she's about to say it. This horrible, ghoulish, girlish thought that used to rule her world and make her so terribly weak. The shameful thought is expressed out loud in the form of a defeated sigh.
I need Jake.
She spins around and, still sitting on her desk, presses a familiar entry on her phone's contact list. Ahoy, ahoy! Great. That was a fucking novel of a section. Jeezy Pete's. Also, wow, incredibly racist. Holy shit. Jane has to suck in a hard breath to stop herself from groaning. Why were so many of the finest young minds on this planet slaves to this foolish man's perky glutes?
Jake, hello, how are you doing?
Wow, I don't know. I don't remember what Jane sounds like. As well as I can, I suppose, considering that I just woke up in the middle of a maficking. Maficking? What the fuck is that word? Ruckus at the stadium after getting beamed in the pumper with the old horse tranquilizer trick, which I suppose I should have seen coming, as Dirk was handling all of our matches in this fashion for the past week.
Oh dear, that sounds absolutely terrible, Jake. Is there anything I can do to help?
Help? Gadzooks, woman! I hardly think myself in need of help. It's a jolly good adventure working with someone so predictably unpredictable as our good friend Dirk. Also, I forgot Jake's voice. They're both gone. They're just in the ether somewhere. You would think that Jake enjoyed the sadomasochistic nature of his and Dirk's personal and professional relationships. Judging from the last conversation about election strategy with Dirk, he seems to be perfectly aware of this feature of Jake's personality. You can't be too nice when courting his endorsement, Dirk would say. He doesn't respond to nice.
Alright, it's basically, it's like Jade.
Boy, my voice is not on to do it today.
Okay. Be that as it may, Jake, I still do worry about you an awful lot.
Well, that is. On Jake's end of the line, there is a crash, followed by a noise that sounds suspiciously like something big and hollow and metal connecting with Jake's head. When Jake comes back to the phone, he's yelling into it. Jane grimaces. Very sweet of you, Jane. I appreciate... what the fuck is wrong with me today? I can't fucking do a voice. Thank you for the sub, Sarex. That was very loud. I didn't turn my volume down. Thank you, Sarex. Or, excuse me, thank you, boy, for gifting a sub to Sarex. Thank you, boy. Thank you so much. You're solidly number one on gifted subs. Solidly. I think my brother did one. I got you, boy. I got you. Okay, anyway. Where the fuck was I? I win. You're currently winning. Where the fuck was I? Very sweet of you, Jane. I appreciate very much that you have called me out of the blue to say such nice things to me with no ulterior motive. From anyone else, this would have been a portentous statement. However, Jane knows that Jake English could not have possibly meant this with anything but the utmost sincerity. Well, you know that because I must note that although I try to stay sporting about what comes at me, I can't say that I'm chuffed about how much of my correspondence lately has to do with the marketing of my image. It's beginning to feel like all people want from me is to stick my derriere on a signpost for their own profit.
Oh, Jake, you're right. It must be so difficult for more than one of the rest of us due to your... for you more than the rest of us due to your, let's say, natural gifts.
Huh?
But you know that I have always wondered what's best for you, right? And I'm ready to give that to you.
To give me what?
The best, Jake. The very best.
Jake is quiet a moment, and Jade can hear the rusty gears turning in his head.
You should stop by to see me this evening.
Do you mean my evening or yours? We're in different time zones right now, and I dare say that the sun just went down here, so if you wanted to have a soiree on my time, you've missed your chance. Jane feels her fake smile flexing so hard that it was beginning to hurt. Oh yes, she loved this man in basically every category that you could possibly love a person, but sometimes talking to him is like trying to build a house of cards while riding a mechanical bull.
Mine, of course. I'll have the best year of your favorite crocodile-made scotch float in from the consort kingdom, and we'll have a little catch-up.
Jake actually hates scotch and only drinks it for appearance's sake, but for this unbelievably pitiful moment in the history of the planet that they created with their bare hands, Jane is willing to spend a few thousand boonbucks to watch her old friend pretend to sip at the same glass for a couple of hours while prattling on. And she's willing to do more than that, too.
When's the last time we've done that? Just you and I.
You know what? You're quite right. It's been a spell since we've met up without Dirk. An unforgivably long one at that. Whip me up a kipper, Jane. I'll be over promptly.
A kipper?
She considers asking if he intended to request that she literally prepare a fish for his arrival, but of course Jake has already hung up. With a heavy and somewhat regretful sigh, Jane sets her phone down on the desk. She thinks, that's that. Time to work your magic, Crocker. Jake got too much. That's his whole shtick in the epilogues. Adult Jake has the best ass. That's that, you think. Your glasses are broken forever, and you totally fucked up and underestimated young Lord English. Rose should have known better than to trust this to you alone. Rose. Rose, your smart, amazing friend Rose. You can almost hear her voice now. Listen closer, jackass. Oh, wait, you do hear her voice. Wait a second. Vibrating low and muted through the wall of your cell. You've only realized right now that your cell has walls, because it's awfully bright in here. It's so white that nothing in the cell is casting a shadow. Looking around, you realize there is no apparent source to all this bright light, making it hard to tell where the floor ends and the walls begin. John? John, are you there? Her voice is muffled, coming from what you presume to be an adjacent room similar to yours on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, thank goodness. Everyone's accounted for then. Are you okay?
What?
Are you okay?
I think so. I can barely hear you, though.
You can hear a thud from Rose's corner, like someone slumping against the wall in relief. Well, that's what you're doing, at least.
Hey!
Yeah, I'm fine too, but this is kind of dorky to say out loud, but I don't feel time. That's not just me, right? You guys feel it too, or don't?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously space inside this box, but I can't do anything. It's like I'm blind.
The noise outside the juju grows. Something sharp and metallic splinters above and rains down on the top of the chest. What did my future self say when, say it was we had to do?
She was never real.
What? I can't hear you.
She never really told us what we had to do exactly, just what was going to happen in a really loose sort of fashion.
Does that mean we're The metallic noises rain down harder, drowning out Rose's attempt at being loud. Plink, plink, smash.
Now I can hear you. Try using less words.
The length of the silence coming from Rose's corner communicates just how difficult a task that is for her.
She said the juju would get loaded and unloaded.
What?
So, I mean, it just got loaded, I think, with us. So I don't think we're trapped in here forever. We'll be unloaded from it at some point. What? I know it's all a bit abstract, but no, I just can't hear you.
John, you suck at yelling. Ah! John, you suck at yelling. All right, that one got me. You stop trying to loudly reassure the worried teens for a moment and just think. Now you understand defeating young Lord English was never supposed to happen, not the way adult Rose was implying it would. You surmise the other 14 remaining outside the juju were the ones meant to be tasked with his defeat, and judging from the cacophony still emanating from beyond the walls of this house and its confining chest, they are taking the task seriously. But what does this mean for the four of you? You try to picture what's going on in the battle outside, but it's not easy. Use your imagination. So hang on, time out. So does this play into like when Vriska has the juju? Are we gonna go to that point in this whole thing? Is that what's gonna happen? Use your imagination. In your imagination, the battle is quite vivid and exciting. The coolness of the action in your mind's eyes belied with the actual sound effects booming all around you, which you can only describe as vaguely stupid. There's a lot of hysterical screaming, which, if you're not mistaken, is coming exclusively from the male combatants. There's a sudden swelling of energy that speaks to a vastness behind its power source, almost as if an outrageous bubble of pure hope was enveloping the stage, is how you would describe it if you didn't mind sounding ridiculous. Then you hear, it can't be. Horses? No, not simple horses of flesh and bone. These horses are metal, if we're to believe they're horses at all. Stop using your imagination. This isn't getting you anywhere, and clearly your silly imaginative whims aren't doing the slightest bit of justice to the actual awesome things taking place out there in the heat of battle. Frankly, your theorized skirmish lost the handle on any legitimacy it might have had the moment you started thinking about horses. You figured no one will ever truly know what's happening out there. You doubt anyone would even be able to handle how incredible the raw, unfiltered account of this teen brawl actually was, so it's probably for the best. As you slip out of your fanciful conjecture, which may or may not have included a mechanical horse ambush, you overhear Dave from one of the rooms below you, raising his voice to speak to either you or someone else. You're not sure. You place your ear to the floor again. He's speaking to Jade. They're attempting to reminisce again to the best of their ability to do so while shouting through a wall. Once more, you ruefully reflect on these teen versions of your friends, and all the questions they must have for you, for each other. What would you even say to them? Would you want to tell them about the happy outcomes, knowing they might never get the chance to experience those things for themselves? Would you tell them the sad outcomes, thus reinforcing their insecurities and suspicions that they may never truly be capable of living happy lives? You're not even sure you could handle it if you were teen John. You'd have too many follow-up questions, which adult John is in no way prepared to answer. Oh, fuck, excuse me. Oh, shit. Oh, shit, dude. Would you tell them... What's up, sorry. Gers. We're starting with meat, so we're still in meat right now. You have to do follow. Would you roll them up? What the fuck? Hang on. Would you tell them what's up with Roxy and Calliope, again having no real grasp yourself over what's up with them? Would you tell them Dave and Carcat, live in a hive together, watching TV all day, and Jade maybe kind of sort of lives there too, but nobody quite knows what's really going on with that? Would you tell them about Terezi? For some reason, her name feels like nails in your heart. Makes sense, you guess, because there's a lot of sharp letters in it. She had sharp teeth too, and sharp elbows, sharp words. Terezi Power was a sharp girl, and maybe what these sharp feelings are trying to tell you is you miss her more than you realized. She wouldn't have let you neglect relationships with certain friends for so long that you missed whole chapters of their lives. She wouldn't have put up with you moping around with salamanders for so long. She would have kicked your ass for being such a loser about everything. She would have poked you in the forehead and called you insufferably lame and told you to pick up your damn phone. You would have called her a weirdo and pretended you hated it, and maybe you would have even have believed you hated it. But now, sitting here in this little white cubicle, contemplating your regrets, you don't think you'd have hated it much at all. Would you tell the teens that? You'd probably never tell anyone that, not even her. Another arbitrary thought hits your brain, completely unrelated to the subject of Terezi or what you would or wouldn't tell a bunch of incarcerated teens, or so you think.
Am I depressed?
You ask aloud, quietly enough that your friends cannot possibly hear it. All the question does is crawl back down your throat and burrow into your gut like it lives there. And it does live there, because as it turns out, you are really fucking depressed. You're just a giant wet meat sack of self-involved misery, and all that big wet meaty ooze drips out your mouth every time you open it. All the time and space in the world isn't making it better. It's something you should have been doing for yourself instead of waiting around for things to get better. Well, screw waiting. It's boring as hell. You are John Egbert, after all, immortal creator of worlds and the one and only man to ever completely transcend the partitions of canon itself. You've got these powers, remember? Boy, thank you for gifting another sub to Dubious Doppelganger. Dubious Doppelganger. Thank you so much, boy. Jeezy Pete's. You hold up your hands and form a rectangle with your fingers and reach outside yourself, outside canon, to the place your recon powers come from. You focus, you strain, you contemplate with all your might a place you can zap to, any place but here. You wait, and wait, and wait, and nothing happens. You slump back down against the wall, and your respondents eagerly greet you again, like an old friend ready to pat you on the back and say, "Good try, man. I'll always be here for you when you fail. Thanks, dude," you think.
Rose was right.
What?
The juju has to unload. The what? Has to what? The only way out of here is for us to wait for someone to let us out. Sorry, guys.
Oh.
Also, I think I might have depression.
Just tack that on there. You are too powerful. You're unstoppable, boy. Oh boy, that's a lot of text. So we gotta hit Jane right in her neoliberal austerity measures. We're all agreed on that, right? Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure.
Now she's gonna spin some shit about supply side economics, but we can't let her control the narrative on that one, because the first thing that's gonna happen once she begins deregulating the bacon industry is that some sweet dumb crocodile down in Concertland is gonna start putting sparkle glue in its cupcake mix, which isn't even the real issue. That's just the surface issue. That's just surface issues. Fucking hell. Right.
Definitely.
I mean, Earthsea has just been play acting capitalism in the last 5,000 years while we time skipped ahead to live rad lives as gods without bothering with any of the boring shit that goes into making a civilization, which is fine. I mean, you can't really expect a bunch of teens who didn't finish middle school to set up a sustainable form of social democracy that isn't just blatantly ripped off whatever we incorrectly thought Obama, God rest his soul, was doing back in the day. Sigh. But Jane's got this old school mentality. You just know she wants to restrict grist alchemy for the sake of growth. And when that goes down, it'll take 3 seconds flat for some nobody in New Durstown to drop the Earthsea Communist Manifesto, at which point we're in for a speedrun of either our 20th century or her 21st century. We're going to glitch under the map straight from Marx to clown dictatorship, which also isn't the real issue. Oh yeah,
of course.
Are you even listening, or are you just making noises with your mouths?
How dare you! I can't believe I'm being accused by Dave Strider, reigning emperor, of spewing endless verbal diarrhea directly into my innocent ear ducts every day of my fucking life, is making thoughtless mouth noises. Jade, are you hearing this?
I'm scandalized. Especially when there are much better things we could all be doing with our mouths.
I don't know if I appreciate that innuendo. Fucking hell. I don't know what that is, doppelganger. I don't know what that is. It's been a really nice day they've been having, and then Jade had to go say something like that. The air in the hive changes in a way that is palpable, in a way that she can't seem to accurately gauge despite having both superhuman and superdog senses. She's lying on her stomach on the floor, chin in her palms, glasses slid down to the tip of her nose, kicking her legs in the air. Elements of her outfit of her outwear resemble her god-tier jammies: peasant skirt, sparkly flats, and a bold choice in striped tights. Her tail swishes from side to side, showing way too much of her thigh, which isn't really all that salacious considering 3 of her bras are showing over the back of the couch where she crashed last night, and the night before that, and the better part of the 7 years before that. There are other personal effects of hers in the living room too: plants on the windowsill, her bass guitar sitting in a corner, a horrific-looking periodic table that Dave made for her on her 17th birthday pinned above the stairwell. He typed it in Comic Sans and then deep-fried it to oblivion with JPEG artifacts. Everyone in this room knows each other way too well, so what happens next goes a little like clockwork. Says Karkat for like 30 seconds straight as he retreats into the bulk of his sweater. He scoots a half foot to put his back against the couch when Jade pushes her glasses up to the bridge of her nose and looks at him. And Dave, with his preternaturally perfect timing, sweeps a hand over his tablet to bring up a new PowerPoint slide on the TV. He returns to his Comic Sans written political presentation, gruesome artifacts and all, with the grace and proficiency of a man who has diffused an awkward situation in his own household many times per day, every day, for many years. Anyway, we all know the real issue is troll reproduction. This election season is going to be so jacked with dog whistles, Jade will never sleep again. Yo, get ready for the top propaganda hits of the year. Alternia, brutal eugenics-based space dictatorship. Not untrue. Troll Homeworld, Lord of the Flies nightmare scenario where kids murder each other just so they get the chance to grow up and murder other aliens instead. Which it wasn't that bad. Actual names of professions on Alternia: Threshcutioner. Threshcutioner, Lecherous Lacerator. Minister is sucking the eyeballs out of your fucking skulls and putting my 2 monstrous H.R. Geiger to your troll dicks up in there and just mashing the shit out of your brains with them. You made the last one up. Also, it was disgusting. Grow the fuck up, you utterly contemptible potty mouth. Wow! 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 Alright, I'm gonna just skip that one.
Also, you know trolls don't actually have 2 dicks, Dave. That's an offensive stereotype.
I know that's the point. Keep up, guys. Ready for another one? Trolls, literally A-babies. Only the defective ones. I like you, my dude. Yeah. So that's why our campaign can work. By the way, I'm going to be given a long-form exam at the end of this to make sure you're retaining info because this is only like the most important thing we've ever done collectively.
Sigh.
Aside from creating the universe, I mean.
It's not that it isn't important. It's just that, like, the method you're using to communicate it is kind of inefficient and boring.
You mean words?
I mean your words specifically. We already understand the issues at play, and you don't have to explain it to us over and over again like we're 12, right, Karkat?
Are you asking me whether I've heard this exact speech almost word for word, including rehearsed versions of both the colorful metaphors and jokes 10 or 20 times already? Because the answer would be, yes, of course I fucking have. Karkat elbows Dave in the thigh, a move that is obviously meant to be an action of pure brotherly jest, but instead it comes off as affectionate and overly intimate. Jade's clever eyes don't miss this. Her pupils follow the motion of Karkat's arm, and then they follow the movement of Dave's mouth as he smiles in what he probably thinks is a totally neutral expression that reveals exactly 0% of his true feelings toward Karkat Vantis. In reality, his veneer is as thin and transparent as cellophane. He is the only person who can't see through it. Jade does some calculations in her head. 2 kinds of calculations, in fact. Mathematical ones and personal ones.
So, do you want a projection of her first year's hit on the economy down to the decimal with a 0.3 margin of error? Because that's the thing I can do if it'll make you stop talking about this stupid election for 10 minutes.
Damn, hit me, girl calculator.
I don't think you're wrong about Jane's plans.
She proceeds to dazzle the 2 boys with explications on complex math utilizing taxation rates, GDP figures, and some damn thing called the Laffer curve, which she easily could have just invented to own them both. But the truth is, she cares too deeply for these boys to fabricate silly-sounding economic models on the spot in order to make them seem foolish in front of the camera later. The thing about Jade Harley is that she's not as good at personal things as she is at other things, like science, or mastering frame motifs, or kissing, the last of which she has definitely put a lot of levels into over the past few years because, well, what else are you supposed to do with a mortal godhood once you hit the age where the dog hormones start kicking into overdrive? She rolls over and hitches up on her palm so that she can stare her 2 friends down. Her high-prescription lenses make her eyes look anime huge. They might literally be glittering. She's so completely serious about the issue she is trying to stress.
So now that that's all out of the way, it's time to get real, you two. That was an invitation for you to make a pun about having all the time in the world or whatever it was you're going to say.
Oh.
I'm going to lay out some cold hard evidence, so pay attention.
Oh, hang on, let me get a pen.
Evidence about our relationship.
Fuck.
You let me live in your hive when I'm in town. I can't believe I'm pretty really intimately entwined in both your lives.
That you're just talking about this?
And you don't disengage from about 86.234% of my flirtations.
Wait, why the fuck would you keep track of something like that?
So, are we doing this or not?
Doing what?
Dating, dummy!
Oh, that is a complicated topic in my culture that I'm not sure humans are equipped to talk about.
Also, totally unrelated to the economy, which, not gonna lie, is the only thing I want to talk about for however long it takes for this other conversation to stop happening. For however long it takes for this other conversation to stop happening. Boy, I fucking feel that in my soul.
So say no!
Well,
I'm not just forcing this conversation for my sake. It's for you two as well. I mean, after all this time, have you two even kissed yet?
What? Why would we kiss? That's you. I mean, he's Dave. And I'm Carcat.
he's Dave and I'm Carcat.
Yes, he's Dave and you're Carcat, and everyone we know always calls you that. Dave and Carcat. I can't remember the last time I heard anyone mention one of you without the other. The two of you have basically been together since your days on the meteor. It's so obvious.
Together, yes, as friends.
Yes, yeah.
Very close friends who understand and support each other on a deep and empathetic level that goes beyond hate or pity. You could even say that our relationship transcends quadrants.
Yeah, not gonna lie, Carcat, but that sounds totally kinda gay.
Ugh, you humans and your unfathomable gender-based quadrants.
Jade face palms. She does it a little too hard and slams the bridge of her glasses into her forehead.
Ow!
Anyway, weren't you dating that carapacian couple last time we checked?
Jade drags her hand down the bottom half of her face and sighs.
Yeah, for fun. I'm 23. Don't you think that's a little old to still be dating for fun?
Wait, you saying we are fun?
When's the last time either of you left the house?
Jade sighs and crawls closer. She takes one of Carcat's hands in hers.
I think we'd all work good together.
In her other hand, she tries to grab Dave's wrist, but he flash steps to the other side of the couch. She pouts at him and keeps holding Carcat's increasingly sweaty palm.
And I think we've been dancing around that for years now. I want to try dating for real.
Have you ever considered, sorry if what I'm about to say totally blows your mind, dating a single person for more than half a sweep for reasons other than initiating the concupiscent exchange of fluids?
Jade's grip on Carcat's hand gets a little too tight, but her big-toothed smile remains flawlessly pleasant. This is a common sort of exchange between them and could be easily considered flirtation on several different metrics, especially considering the history between them and the sheer level of black flirtation that Carcat accidentally indulged in during his insecure youth. He doesn't even pull his hand away.
Okay, first of all, don't slut-shame me, fuck-ass. Second of all, that's what I'm trying to do here. Third of all, Carcat, aren't you from a culture where people are expected to engage in romantic relationships with up to like 5 people at a time?
That's not the same thing at all.
Oh yeah? Explain the fundamental...
What the fuck is that word? Epistemological
difference.
What the fuck?
Okay, Jade, I think there's a flaw in your approach here, because you seem to think winning an argument on super clever logical grounds is gonna get a couple dudes to break down and fling themselves at you in, like, a sexual way.
Well, it usually does.
Oh my fucking god. This earns Dave a look, a long, sad one that has Jade messing with her glasses again so that she can peer right at him and apply one more of that faulty personal math to his facial expression.
Dave.
What?
Is this about Obama?
What? No,
Dave, are you in love with Obama?
Jade, Jesus, where do you get this shit from?
Is it about Jesus then?
No, Jesus wasn't even real.
I know he wasn't real. Wait, are you saying Obama was real?
Yes, Obama was real. He was the president.
All this time I thought Obama was like an aspirational fictional character that you model your life after.
I can't fucking breathe.
Like Snoop Dogg or Nicolas Cage.
This is fucking incredible. They're both real too. I know you grew up on an isolated island in the middle of nowhere and everything, but didn't you have like access to the internet?
Wow, well, I'm sorry I wasted my whole childhood filling my head with pointless things like astrophysics and mercenary numeral systems that allow me to do complex equations in my head.
No, dude, that's kind of fucked up. Carcat, stop laughing. Jade's fucked up childhood isn't funny.
Yes, it fucking is. Also, screw you for saying it's not funny. Why is it like some sort of tragedy how she was raised? Because she was raised alone by an animal? I was raised alone by an animal. Fuck off and let me enjoy this.
Carcat has finally pulled his hand away so he can clutch his stomach. He's laughing so hard. Jade gets up and stalks over to where Dave is awkwardly cowering at the other end of the couch and snatches his tablet from him. There's a ripple in the room that makes it clear their god-tier powers have just clashed against each other. He shifts his arm through time and Jade warps the space around them so that she's the one holding the tablet. This is not the first time that they have rearranged the fabric of reality for a petty reason like this. Carcat has permanently sworn off playing board games with them. There's a story there. The moment Jade brings the paint program up on the television, Carcat starts laughing.
No!
He tries to grab the tablet from her, but she's hovering well above the ground and he is simply not tall enough to reach. With a shit-eating grin and deliberate care, Jade begins to to draw a grid.
I'll put this in terms Karkat will appreciate. Check it out.
Jade, I swear to...
Karkat jumps and tries to grab her skirt, but she skims through the air with ease, giggling as she doodles.
You better not be drawing what I think you're drawing.
Her artistic skill, even at the advanced age of 23, still leaves something to be desired, but it's pretty easy to produce recognizable caricatures of the three people in the room right now. She gives Karkat a pair of fuzzy, angry eyebrows and starts drawing other lines, sinister lines with salacious meaning. It's exactly what Karkat fears. A shipping grid.
Fuck off. Fuck off. But get the fuck out of here.
All right, I'm done.
Stop! Cease! Desist this moment! Do not draw one more line!
Oh no, I'm drawing a line, Karkat. Better stop me before it goes all the way from my mouth to yours.
Karkat catches the back of her shirt and she goes plummeting weightlessly to the floor, still laughing. Karkat tries to wrestle the pen out of her hand, but all he accomplishes is turning the red rum trajectory between her and Dave into a red rum loop-de-loop.
See, me and Karkat have great black chemistry.
It is not black chemistry, you horrid non-chitinous windbag!
Jade and Karkat roll over each other on the floor, and he gets a mouthful of her hair for his trouble. Jade comes out on top and sits on his back, humming to herself as she crafts her grand design.
And now that Dave's all chill, he'd make a great auspicious.
She says, cheerful and oblivious. No.
Because you and Karkat are all kinds of morals.
No.
And you and I, well, you know, it's always been pretty flirty.
Jade.
Except...
Jade finishes drawing a shaky heart directly into the paint program. It's so big and bright on the TV that it fills the entire room with red light. Karkat raises his face and stares at it in utterly bereft horror. The sick light makes the bags under his eyes look like divots.
In this model, troll quadrants are dumb, so we all kiss. I call this political arrangement fully automated luxury polyamorous space-time communism.
No one reacts. Karkat is defeated completely. David just crosses his arms and presses his mouth into a thinner line than usual. Jade's ears flatten and she huffs. It sounds a little like a dog whining.
Oh, come on, that was a good one. It's politically relevant and everything.
Jade, I'm not going to laugh at your made-up ship name for this imaginary threesome that's not happening. Jade rolls her eyes and tosses both the tablet and pen over her shoulder. Dave flashes across their living room to catch his very expensive computing device in both arms. The pen bounces off his forehead. Jade dismounts from Karkat's poor, abused, terribly mortal spine and brushes down her skirt.
Well, I've said I wanted to say. It's up to you two what you do with it. I have to go talk to Roxy and Callie about the election anyway. Call me when you two figure it all out.
Jade clicks her heels together to propel herself back into the air and actually winks at them before absconding through an open window. She has to push the thick curtains aside to do so. Karkat hisses when the light spills over his face. What Jade leaves in her wake is not quite the emotional scorched earth situation that she was going for, but a few of her needles have definitely gotten under some skin. Dave and Karkat both stare at her, silently caught in their own private rationalization spirals. Karkat needs to verbalize part of his out loud.
Wow, what a crazy and totally improbable conversation that we just had with our best friend Jade.
Yeah.
What a good thing for us that she's totally delusional and has no idea what she's talking about, huh?
For sure. Dave offers Karkat a hand up from the floor. When their palms connect, there's a moment where something could happen. A little spark of potential. It would be so very easy for something to happen.
Want to play some Troll Tony Hawk?
Hell yeah. That was a fucking conversation. Fucking hell. Ugh. What do we got? We're an hour in. Fucking hell.
I'm gonna take a snack break.
So how's everyone doing? Hope everyone's having a good Saturday. I don't know what it is. Am I fucking... I waited until the last second to warm up, so maybe my vocal cords are just not really up to the task today.
Oh.
Man, you're quiet today. I'll be honest, I'm not that hungry. I'm just gonna have the one, and then we'll move on. Nice, Axe. Cloudy, rainy, cold. Man, I wish that was the fucking case here. Florida just goes from being hot to being slightly less hot. I miss changing seasons. Living in Montana and Virginia, I miss having that changeover. Florida, yeah, but it's just hot, but it's less hot. But it is Halloween season, so I'm very excited about that. Anyway, snack break over. Let's get through this. Meet 13. Be John again. It seems as if you're attempting to be John again, with the expectation that we might spend a little more quality time with him in his cubicle of misery and self-loathing. You guess we might really start to unpack his depression issues, get to the bottom of all that. Well, nice try. John can't be here right now because he's stuck somewhere in the herring nexus between canon, post-canon, non-canon, outside canon, and fanon. He also can't be here right now because for the time being we're done wasting our breath on such a sad loser. It's well overdue for the true hero of the tale to take center stage. I see. Okay. Be Vriska. Lord English stands before you in all his time-eating, universe-ending glory. You rode in here like a total badass, and now you're presiding over a whole host of ghosts ready to throw themselves once more into the maw of this final battle. You know that this isn't your battle to win, but you are definitely the sign of the tide turning. Hell, you are the tide. This whole thing would have been pretty dismal if you hadn't shown up with the treasure chest containing the ultimate weapon, not to mention your flawless defeat on an obstructionist, hectoring orange man, who for reasons you cannot begin to comprehend seemed to be obsessed with you. You have already executed what is probably the most important tactical maneuver ever performed by a hero in the history of heroism. You deployed the white house-shaped juju from the red chest. It grew to an enormous size, slammed down on whatever was passing for the floor in this esoteric battle environment, and a door materialized on its surface. You now stand off to the side looking especially pleased with yourself. Wait for the legendary weapon to unload itself toward the hulking tyrant. You've got two bitches of either gender at your side. Your main girl, Mina, who you stole from that embarrassing past version of yourself that you own so hard you bet she's probably still crying. And Tavros. Not just any random ghost copy of Tavros, of which there appear to be thousands. Your Tavros, specifically, who's been pathetically trailing after you like a lost bark bee since you showed up. You'd be hard-pressed to describe what's happening right now if they sent a poet, maybe that he'd do a better job of it. But they sent someone who's actually useful instead, so you give it a shot. It looks to you like a complete obliteration of space and time, the end of all things, the disintegration of literally thousands of ghosts, and no doubt your admirers out there would love it if you described it all in painstaking detail, but you're not an executionist. You just call it like you see it, and what you're seeing right now is pretty awesome. Observe Lord English. My voice is so tired. Why? Kind of an overworked character design, you think to yourself. If someone showed you a drawing like this on their flarp sheet, you'd probably be obligated to immediately kick their ass. There's a lot going on, from his vein-popping muscles to his 8-ball eyes to his pirate leg and his ostentatiously bright gold pimp cane. Years ago, you brutally criticized Terezi for adding a dragon head staff to her Red Glare cosplay. The argument that ensued was so bad she didn't talk to you for your entire week. Now that you're seeing this, well, you wouldn't apologize to her, obviously. But in retrospect, maybe her accessorizing wasn't so bad. At least she understood the basics of having a simplified silhouette. I'm going back, Finn. You coming, Vriss? I'm going back, Finn. You coming, Vriss?
Of course, but give me a minute. I want to see.
Mina gives you a grin and a salute and leaves you to it. This is what you always felt you were destined for, somehow. Standing at the end of the universe, seeing how it all goes down. Tavros is clinging to your arm like a little crybaby, while crying, you assume, and probably soiling his dumb little pair of shorts. But not you. You're fearless. Your eyes are so wide that it feels like you're eating all the light through them. That's what you are, after all, the thief of light. You crane back your neck and watch Lord English put a crack in reality. It's beautiful. You thought maybe he'd do something stupid, like punch the sky with his gross throbbing muscle arm, but all it takes for him to shatter the roof of existence is a single ear-splitting roar. Around him, the ghost army scatters. Tavros flinches and hides his face in your shoulder, and probably pisses himself for good measure. But you get smashed in the head? It was so fast and dark you didn't see it. The shard of space-time that split off from above and hurtled toward you. Your body rocks back, whiplash fast, and you nearly keel over. You're still standing, though, and laughing. That's what you were doing when Lord English put a split in the fabric of reality. You were laughing, not crying. It doesn't hurt at all.
Vriska, are you okay?
Shut up! I'm... You stagger back and put a hand on the head wound. Your eyes spin, all 8 of them. It's not a big deal, though. Just a scratch. It's fine. Your hand comes away coated in thick blue. Your hair is soaked with it all the way down on one side. Why is broken space-time so sharp? Like splittered obsidian. Feels like it barely grazed you, and yet everything around you begins to spin, and you're not sure if you can't quite. A stream of blood begins to leak in under your glasses. Noise whirls around you. Lord English losing his shit, ghosts shouting, moving, the broken glass sound of the ceiling of space splitting into hundreds of shards of potentiality. There's a hum beneath all of it, a deep, dark reverb, a black hole sucking everything into the dark maw of infinity. You wipe your bloody hand on the leg of your jeans and sneer with rage. You won't go down so easily. Tavros tries to steady you, but you slap his hand away. Fuck off!
Okay. It looks really, kinda, extremely bad, though. You're so intolerable. I need to. Tavros, go find Mina. Now, Tavros!
Tavros scurries off into the fray to find someone less worthless. You try to catch your bearings so that you won't miss a single instant of the battle, but you're distracted by something in the corner of your glasses. Your trolling alert is blinking. There's a message from Terezi. How long has that been there? Hours? Days? You suddenly wonder if it's been years from her perspective, waiting for you to respond, given how time moves differently out here. Were you too preoccupied with your incredible heroic exploits to notice? Focus, Circuit. This is no time for sentimental thoughts. You need to get a grip. Keep your head in the game. Keep both feet planted firmly. Whoops. Your feet slip. Without Tavros to keep you steady, you lose balance and begin drifting. You try to regain your footing, but you realize you aren't in danger of falling over. That's not the problem. You can't seem to get your feet back on the floor? You feel light. You're floating. You flail your legs, scraping the tips of your shoes against the floor, but it's no use. You understand what's happening. It's the black hole. It's starting to lift you up. You glance wild-eyed toward the glowing juju. Its 4 chambers and peaked roof are pulsing with the energy of raw imminence. This is it. Everything you've been waiting for. Whatever it is about to happen. Where's Mina? You desperately try to stabilize yourself, slow your ascent, anchor yourself back to the floor in some way. Anyway. But there's nothing to grab onto. There's blood in your eyes, and your depth perception is fucked. Your hand goes wide, and your fingers close around empty space as you reach impotently toward the glowing symbol of everything you ever believed you were meant for. This can't be how it goes. As you continue to levitate, gaining speed in the direction of the insatiable cosmic body, you can see your blood trailing behind you in wet cerulean blobs. The juju glows brighter. You need to see what happens next. You need to see! You're so frantic, grasping for purchase in the empty air, that you aren't ready for it. Another black shard of space-time hurtling through the void. It collides with your chest, right at the place where your ribcage connects, and sends you spiraling ever faster toward the deep, dark maw of infinity. A black hole is something not even a god-tier player can survive, you suspect. And even if one could, you highly doubt there'd be any clawing your way out of its event horizon and back into relevance. Not this time. It's a fate worse than anything you can imagine. And as it truly sinks in, what is happening to you, how this is ending for you, finally you lose all sense of composure. You flail, spin, and flip in helpless little circles like a bloody ragdoll, and you begin to scream. John emerged from the juju. The first thing you hear is a tiny scream getting sucked into oblivion. The voice is familiar, but not as familiar as the second thing you hear, which is a crack. It's not just a crack in your ears. The crack goes all the way down your spine. You almost don't react to it because it's so familiar. Around you, a cacophony rises up like steam. Oh shit, it's really popping off out here. It's really popping off out here. Yeah, it's just the end of all reality. Shit's popping off. Dave's voice reminds you that your teammates have emerged from the house along with you. You survey the group. Everyone is accounted for. 3 confused, frightened teenagers. You can't see anything but big, bright smears all along the horizon. You fish the 2 halves of your broken glasses out of your pocket and hold them up to your face. The scene comes into focus, the eye of a storm. A black hole so massive it stretches out as far as you can see. An army of ghosts swirling and screaming, whipping around you like leaves in the wind, and at the center of it all is Lord English, just like in your dream. You can feel it now. The moment reality yawns too wide and snaps in half. Epilogue 3, rad. Glad we're fucking here. Glad this is taking I'm glad this is so long. God, it's so fucking... Alright. I'm reserving judgment. I am reserving judgment. But it's not looking good. Epilogue 3, Meet 14. Jake yawns and knocks on the window of Jane's office. I was hoping it wasn't going to be this fucking long. I've seen the book, so I don't know why I thought it was shorter than that. But... it's okay. So here's the thing: reading through Homestuck, it was fun. It's like, yeah, cool. Like we're reading through Homestuck again. This is a lot of fun. I enjoy reading it. It's fun to read. It's funny. It's got great art. This is just a fucking chore. Like, I don't want to read this. Just reading through it, I'm like, yeah, fucking, let's get through it. I want to get through it as fast as possible. I don't want to enjoy it like I wanted to enjoy Homestuck. I want to get through this. Anyway, there's my rant. 9 epilogues and 44 individual pages. Fucking hell. So... what? So, like, so there's 9... fucking hell, okay. Is that each? Is that each? So is there 44 of meat and 44 of candy? Or is there 22 of each? Fucking hell. Alright. Alright, well now I know what I'm getting into. 41 in candy. 44 meat. 41 candy. Alright. Thanks, Sarax. Boy, howdy. Alright, here we go. Jake yawns and knocks on the window to Jane's office again. For some reason, Jane has the shades pulled shut all the way around. So he's been hovering here for way too long in his best tie and his best pair of short shorts. There's a crowd gathered below, gaping at a rare in-person appearance of a globally famous butt. The sunset has turned the head offices of Crocker Corp into a shimmering glass monolith, a beacon, if you will, of the future, visible for miles in every direction. Jane probably likes to think about it that way at least. Speaking of Jane, she pops her head out from between two strips of silk-lined Venetian blind to glower at Jake, who is hovering uselessly in the air. Use the front door, she mouths at him, but he responds with his specialty incomprehension. I'm sorry, what? The exasperated hand motions Jane tries next work better. Oh, the front door, of course! Jake flies down to the street so he can take the front entrance. He whistles a quaint little ditty to himself while he waits for the elevator to go up to the top floor. This time, he knocks on the office door and Jane lets him in. Inside the office, it's dark and hazy. The whole place is candlelit, and Jane is reclining on her desk, sprawled out like a lounge singer on a grand piano. Specifically, a blue lounge singer on a blue piano, just like in one of the hideous velvet paintings Jake bought in New Prospect for a few years ago. Like all of his impulsive purchases, the tacky thing is gathering dust in a pile somewhere in one of the hundreds of spare rooms in his mansion, which now primarily functions as a very expensive warehouse for his atrocious hoarding habits. An intimate knowledge of his hoarding habits, particularly the type of sultry cerulean content he is known to hoard, is exactly why Jane is wearing a blue dress with a very high hem. Jake's bow tie practically spins at the sight of it. He freezes on the spot, an animal in the predatorial headlights of this buxom blue businesswoman. Did Jane just completely forget that they're related? Are we just going to ignore the whole incest side of this?
Come have a glass of scotch with me, Jake. We have so much to discuss.
Indeed. He crosses the office and shakily accepts the offered glass of ludicrously expensive fermented barley grain. He raises it to his nose and pretends to sample the scent. Jane, I must say this is a very striking ensemble.
Oh, you like it? Why don't you, come take a closer look?
She's really bad at this, she thinks, this being seduction. She's so bad at it, in fact, that Jake immediately recognizes her ruse for what it is. Laughing nervously, he sucks the whole glass of scotch into his mouth in one go, ice cubes and all. And then, because he can't actually stand the taste of scotch, immediately spits it back out, ice cubes and all, spraying Jane's brand new sexy dress with quite an ungentlemanly fountain of boozy spittle. Jane is lashed both by the scotch in her face and how quickly her plan has fallen apart.
Jake! Pajamas! Oh no, all of my new dress.
Jane, I'm so sorry. Here, let me help you clean that giggle water off your kettle drums.
No, you've done enough. Goodness, you've only been here 2 minutes and already... Why did I ever think... Jane, please, I insist.
She tries to push him away, but Jake considers himself to be a gentleman. He helps her to the floor and shrugs off his dress coat so he can use it to wipe her down. She is staring at the ceiling like she hopes it will split open and suck her into a supermassive black hole so she doesn't have to deal with anything that is going on right now. Some of Jake's scotchy slobber is on her glasses, which is not the place she was planning on having it tonight. So you wanted to see me to show off this proper bit of frock?
Oh, no, of course not. I just wanted to talk about the economy.
Fine, show the economy, Jane, my dear friend. Please tell me all about the economy. Jake doesn't care about the economy, but he's an ardent supporter of changing the subject.
It's doing quite well right now, actually.
I should hope so.
But it might not continue to do so in the future, which you can guess is of great concern to me, being that I am a pioneering entrepreneur.
Well, frig, that's awful, and you should do everything in your power to adequately explain to me this conundrum which I admit I'm not up to dick on.
You...
Jane laughs quite sincerely as he ruffles his jacket through her hair.
Oh, Jake, you really have no idea what's going on, do you?
Wait, is this about the election muck-up? Because Jane puts a finger to Jake's lips and shushes him. It's a smooth move, a total recovery. He shushes, and she directs him to one of the couches that line her office. They stumble there, his jacket and hands still wrapped around her shoulders.
I'm sure you've had an earful about the election already. I apologize. You must understand that my mind is quite occupied by it right now, but I've been doing an awful lot of thinking as of late.
I see. About what?
About everything, I suppose. About my life, about all of our lives and the trajectory they've taken since we helped to create this new universe. You must admit that it's a lot to grasp, and I'm not certain we've all taken the time to truly contemplate our place in it.
This is not really the kind of conversation you initiate if you're looking to extract a sexual deal out of someone. It is, however, the kind of conversation that you might have with a childhood friend who has become somewhat emotionally estranged from you, both so busy with their exciting careers and misuse of their godhood. Who are they now? The same Jake and Jane who passed like particularly dysfunctional ships in the night a decade ago? Or is Jane wiser and Jake kinder? Are they better versions of themselves? Jane absently rubs the narrow strap of her dress between two fingers, vainly attempting to sort out her jumbled thoughts. That's an earful, Jane.
I know, it's a headful, too. I can't help but worry. Haven't we really just been drifting these last 7 years? Drifting, both in the sense of failing to fulfill our personal potentials, and in the sense of well, drifting apart.
Jane pulls a leg up beneath her, which slides her bare knee between Jake's. The couch dips a bit under their weight. I must admit I never thought of it that way.
I know. It's just that we're both so busy all the time. The years go by so fast, and I miss you.
Jake blinks, his eyes wet and glossy beneath his spectacles. Ah, well, I suppose I miss you too, Jane. The moment goes from calculated to genuine in an instant. Jake drops his coat and glides his hands down her bare arm so that he can... hold her? Yeah, it's definitely what he's doing, holding her, and not too gently either. Jane really is quite pretty, with the candlelight glittering across her spectacles, her hair damp, and her front teeth poking out from beneath her lip. She's so pretty that Jake can't stop himself from sliding a hand up to her neck and using his thumb to tip her face back so that they're staring right at each other in the low light. Close enough that Jane can probably smell his disgusting scotch breath. She definitely does smell it because her cute nose scrunches up and she laughs again. A very small, private noise. A noise just for him. So he kisses her. Okay, great, so we are going this route. Fucking great, I'm glad I get to read this out loud. Very well, if he does think so himself. Dirk has given him a lot of uninvited but incisive criticism on his kissing over the years, so Jake wouldn't be surprised if he was considered the best kisser on the entire planet at this point. Jane breathes in, shocked for a moment, even more shocked when Jake hooks a hand around her waist and pushes her down. She makes a startled noise into his mouth. Then she throws her arms around his neck. It should be awkward, taboo at this point, considering the history between them, also that they're related, but it all happens so easily. Jane undoing Jake's bow tie, Jake hooking his thumb under the hem of her dress and hiking it up another inch, and it really cannot spare for decency's sake. There is nothing awkward about this moment, Jake thinks. Two old friends, hot as the blazes, giving into passion? Who could accuse him of impropriety? Nobody worth their salt in his book. It all makes perfect sense. The inevitable consummation of a whirlwind romance fit for the big screen. Really, the only surprise is how long it took to happen. Jane is a beautiful lady, that's for sure. She always has been, but she's only grown more ravishing as she's come into the full blossom of her womanhood. Smooth, silky skin, thick, dark lashes, full feminine lips, not to mention curves like the Dickens. It's all certainly conducive to activities of close phonological proximity to the phrase. Jane's baby soft palm, unmarried to the calluses of deft swordsmanship, slides down Jake's cheek and dips under the collar of his shirt. She caresses his clavicle and then tenderly trails her fingers up the side of his neck, steadying herself as she deepens her passionate kiss. Jane's touch is nothing like Dirk's. Dirk has palms so rough that they sting, especially on skin that's thin and supple, like the column of the throat right over the jugular. He pulls away from Jane's lips and lifts her spectacles off her nose. Yeah, that's fair, Sarax. This is not fun. It's a motion that still feels practiced and familiar, despite how long ago he'd last had the precious chance. Those rare, intimate moments that Jake was allowed to slip off Dirk's shades and look upon his face, unobstructed, stand out more clearly in his mind than almost any other in his life. Jake swallows. He can't stop thinking about how Dirk kissed him the last time they didn't hook up. Which is a thing, of course, that didn't happen. So how can Jake possibly be thinking about it? Is it just some sort of Pavlovian response that's making his heart race like this? He does his best to push the ultimate untimely thoughts away, but his fingers tremble as he sets Jane's glasses aside. Jane gazes back at him, cheeks flushed with desire, eyes dark and alluringly coy. All her features are round and soft, welcoming, soothing, the kind of face that makes you feel like you've come home. Dirk is the exact opposite. Long nose, thick eyebrows, pointed features, a man who seems built down to the very essence of his soul to be sharp, hard to approach, harder still to touch. But when looked at from the right angle, he's anime levels of handsome, breathtakingly, choir of angels singingly, anime handsome. The sort of man you can't keep your hands off, no matter how jagged his edges. But his hair is so much softer than it looks. His heart, too. When a heart like that opens up to you, it opens up the whole world as well. A world of increased appreciation for combat, philosophy, life, love... Yelp! Jake yelps and rolls off the couch in such a panic that he almost takes Jade with him. She flies to her feet, startled, breathing fast, and readjusts her disheveled clothes.
Jake, are you quite okay?
I have to go now, sorry. Jake's already hovering 2 feet off the ground before Jane can say another word. He doubles back to the end of the office and grabs a bottle of near untouched scotch before kicking open the latch to one of Jane's giant windows and letting himself out. He's got a lot of things to think about, apparently.
What the ever-living fuck?
Jane stands alone in her office, confused, horny, and kind of pissed. She slowly slips a strap of her dress back over her shoulder. Then she closes the window, sits in her CEO chair, and speed dials a number for her one-man kitchen cabinet.
Yo, what up? Not Jake, apparently.
Wow, going straight for the double entendre, huh? How much of that scotch did you have?
I think a few drops made it in my mouth when Jake spewed his beverage directly onto my face.
Thinking that badly, huh?
This is so embarrassing. You know, I wouldn't have approached it this way if I wasn't absolutely certain its margin for error was virtually non-existent. I mean, it's Jake.
Were you nice to him?
Well, I
told you can't be nice to Jake. Listen, Jane, I don't really have time to jam right now. Why don't you leave Jake to me? Jane squeezes her eyes shut and, very softly and quietly, bumps her head against the edge of her desk.
Why do I feel as if we've had this exact conversation almost word for word before?
Because we have. Many times.
Well, what do we do now? I'm afraid I've gone and made things worse.
Like I said, let me work on it. I know what I'm doing.
You always say that.
I haven't been wrong yet. Jane, head still planted firmly on the desk, laughs at that. There's a sardonic twist in Dirk's voice that intentionally recalls every time he's ever fucked up. But it satisfies Jane nevertheless. She knows that he won't fail her.
Fine. Please call me later so that we may strategize. And also because I could use some emotional support after what just happened.
I may be caught up for a while.
Why is that?
Can't explain right now. Catch you on the flip side, Jane.
Wait!
Dirk doesn't wait. There's a shadow cast in his doorway that is much more important than the election. Rose is braced against the doorframe, one hand on her purse and the other on her waist. She has her head tipped just so, her pale hair falling across her face at an angle that bisects her perfectly neutral expression. Dirk sets down his phone and acknowledges her with a nod. Well, go on. Okay. Feel that character. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's that. That whole fucking thing was a bad fan fiction. That was awful. That was terrible. I'm gonna just flat out fucking say it. Not even so much that it was uncomfortable, but the way it was written, not good. I'm so disappointed. Upset? Disappointed? I don't know. How could they do this to fucking... Anyway. I don't know. Alright, we're going on. Meet 15. John, fight... How much fucking longer we have today? Half an hour. Okay. John, fight Lord English. All around you is pandemonium, a multi-chromatic cyclone of shrieks and clashing colors, as Mina's ghost army claws at the borders of Paradox space. Wait, that is her army, right? It seems like it's been so long since you thought about any of this, but you're pretty sure this is the army you, Mina, Vriska, and the other circuit were trying to raise. So it's true then. The Juju has finally unloaded you, exactly where you needed to be. Every screaming body pitches down and goes white the closer it gets to the black hole above you. And below, front and center, is Lord English himself, the big deal version, pimped up, hulked out, and throwing a huge universe-ending tantrum. Unlike his younger form, his eyes aren't flickering wildly. They're locked in place, an 8-ball in each socket. You briefly wonder what that means, but your curiosity is interrupted by a massive outburst of technicolor dragon breath coming from his mouth. The laser show tears its way through a squadron of ghosts led by... Is that... Tavros? Seems like an awful choice to lead an army, but what do you know? Wasn't Vriska supposed to be leading the charge? Where is she anyway? Listen. Juju Puck. You're not fair. You're not wrong, dude. You don't have to dwell on Vriska. She's probably somewhere around here, biding her time, waiting to execute her master stroke and finish English off at just the right moment, like the cunning bitch she is. No, you can't think about that now. You're becoming enraptured by the sound surrounding you. Not a sound, a sensation. A subharmonic symphony that you can only hear in your bones. This is it. The end of Paradox Space. The thing you saw in your anime dreams. A hard lump of air travels down your throat, but you don't hesitate. Behind you, the Juju disappears, sucked out of reality with a pop. You move your arms in a dumb little motion, sort of like jazz hands, and summon up a wisp of wind to keep your cracked glasses in place. You then pull one of your sickest hammers out of your strife deck. Your teen friends follow suit. You cast a glance back over your shoulder at them. They all look pretty cool. Rose knitting light around her with the quills of echidna, Dave with his sword Calibwilch at the ready, trailing time distortions behind that look, if you don't squint, a lot like JPEG artifacts. Jade's got her favorite gun cocked and ready, with her ears perked up.
Let's do this!
Don't get overconfident. We have to do it exactly like we discussed. First, but Rose doesn't get to finish what she was trying to say. Lord English's mouth roars open and a wave of energy blasts through your group. Rose is the only one caught in it. She dissolves in slow motion. You can see the outline of her body in shadow, one arm thrown up over her eyes, shoulders pulled up defensively, cape billowing out behind her. She leaves an after image of shimmering light in her wake and then dissipates, drifting apart like a handful of salt tossed out to sea. You can almost hear the cosmic clock counting down. Tick, tock, and a chime to accompany her fate. Heroic.
Rose, no!
Jade doesn't wait to fire. Space splinters around her so loudly it drowns out the fire from her rifle. Lord English raises one of his giant fuck-off hands to deflect her anomaly-powered bullets, giving Dave an opportunity to attack. Dave raises his legendary blade and aims for the impressively beefy torso. It should be a sure hit, like slashing the side of an unusually broad green barn, but he whiffs completely. It's a wonder how much of a big man. It's a wonder how such a big man can move so fast. Jade inspects her rifle and tosses it aside. What is she doing? With all the powers of a witch of space at her command, combined with the infinite abilities of a first guardian, she's still messing around with basic firearms? She makes two tight fists and strikes a pose befitting. Thank you, Do. I didn't realize the fucking... the troll arms are the same color as the fucking background. Thank you for the follow, Do. Where the fuck was I? She's still messing with base of arms. She makes 2 tight fists and strikes a pose befitting of a warrior about to power the fuck up. She focuses and strains. A doggy snarl rips its way through her clenched teeth. A hazy aura envelops her as space buckles and lenses around her about her form. And then, nothing. No crackle of electricity, no looks of chartreuse flame. She searches within, realizes her power source is completely unavailable to her. Then she looks up, and it dawns on her. That thing in the sky, the hungry black orb gobbling everything in sight, that's where the green sun used to be. It's been swallowed completely by a black hole. The realization is horrifying. She feels suddenly absolutely helpless. Jade opens her mouth to scream for help, but she's cut off. A razor-sharp fragment of reality slams into her back. It skewers her, exiting right through the center of the space symbol on her hoodie. She chokes and goes limp, encircled by a halo of her own blood. Get in there! You're barely a minute into the battle, and both your tactician and your most powerful player are down. You summon a windstorm to momentarily keep Lord English preoccupied and try to grab your sister's wrist. Instead, you catch her by the hem of her skirt. Lord English struggles to emerge from the wind prison you just whipped up. You can see one of his arms flailing just outside the circumference of your storm. Tavros has pulled himself to his feet, and recognizing English's temporary state of vulnerability, directs the ghost on his side to attack. No one's paying attention to him. Jade is floating away from you. You're having a hard time maintaining your whirlwind, your glasses, your hammer, and your grip on her. Lord English's head has emerged from the apex of your storm. He looks directly at you, and his mighty jaw creaks open slowly. Well beyond the reasonable capacity of any mortal mandible hinge. You stare directly down the dark barrel of his throat, which readies another terrible laser shot. There's not much time to react. Make a decision. You let Jade go. She floats in literal slow motion, buoyed by the billows of her skirt. You summon a gust of wind and push her farther away from the battle. You're hit by a blowback from the current, and a line of her blood splashes across your face. But releasing her has created enough separation, just as you hoped. The laser breath passes between you, narrowly missing you both. You reel back like you've just been punched. Your control over the storm goes haywire for a second, long enough for Lord English to free his gaudy gold peg leg from it, and more catastrophically, for you to drop your already broken glasses. You whirl around and swing your hammer to bop his horrible, deadly skull back into your storm. You can't really see what's going on, but you hear a gigantic crunch, and then another, and another. It sounds like a cereal commercial is playing outside the periphery of your vision.
Dave!
What?
Is Lord English eating my hammer?
Yeah, dude, he totally is.
What the fuck?
It's a true outrage. This isn't going to work, waging battle without your glasses. Lord English has just eaten one of your sickest hammers due to your blind folly. You take a deep breath and dive down, right into the sea of ghosts. You land clumsily, palms first, and do an accidental handspring right into a bunch of alternate timeline trolls you don't recognize.
Hey guys, anyone see a pair of glasses down here? It's pretty important.
Everybody shrugs. This gaggle of lost souls collectively personifies uselessness. It is inconceivable to you that a single one of them will survive this battle. Perhaps it's for the best. Behind you, the wind barrier tears open. Lord English explodes from his confinement and swings his peg leg through the army. Ghosts scatter like bowling pins, many flying into the cracks of space. Before the leg hits you, a troll leaps into action and blocks the blow. Her trident makes a satisfying ring off the round of the peg and sends it skidding backward.
Whoa, that was a close one. She'll have the time to finally show up. Sorry, we were kind of busy. Bit of a weird question, but have you seen a pair of glasses down here? Are these what you were looking for?
Tavros appears behind you and hands over your glasses, still in 2 pieces. You return them to your face so that you can take a quick assessment of the battlefield. Oh boy, Lord English, now free from your wind trap, is something around, throwing an even bigger shit fit than before. The black hole above him is getting bigger. You can see the ghost at the edge of the battlefield tumbling through space toward it, distorted, screaming, and helpless. Also, Tavros suddenly is leading an admirable charge of about 6 ghosts to attack Lord English's flesh foot. You wince because you can see what's coming before it happens. It's a shame because you didn't have the chance to thank him for finding your glasses. English raises his knee and stomps 3 ghosts into oblivion. The other 4, Tavros included, get vaporized in a beam. The ghost army seems to be thinning out pretty badly by now. Most of the ones remaining are either fleeing or getting sucked into the hole. You whip out another hammer, a classic this time, the Wrinkle Fucker. Its bulging pair of irons are hot, hissing, and ready for action. I'm gonna leave that one alone. You use the wind to propel yourself back toward the fray. Dave is slicing paper cuts into English's torso with glancing nicks from his blade, but the monster is as spry as ever, making him a difficult target. You take advantage of his distracted cavorting to whack him in the side of the skull. Your hammer connects with a satisfying crunch, and he stumbles back, but recovers and lunges forward in a motion so quick you can barely follow it. English grabs the wrinkle fucker with his mouth. You hold on tight, but he starts shaking his head rapidly the way a dog with a rabbit tries to break its neck. He chomps down hard and shatters the hammer's head, gobbling down the broken pieces. You watch incredulously as the giant dude eats yet another one of your favorite hammers. Unbelievable. He lunges for the handle in a ridiculously greedy attempt to finish what's left of your weapon. You recoil, careening out toward the black hole, but manage to stabilize yourself. You look at the handle of your tragically masticated wrinkle fucker, shrug, and toss it into the hole. Glancing back down toward your foe, you notice Mina still appears to be hanging on, clinging to his left suspender. Yo, hold on! Going in for the krill! Dave takes a step back to provide some space for whatever killer move she's got up her sleeve. She raises her trident and jams it into the back of Lord English's neck. English reacts as if he's been stung by a bee. He howls and rears up, throwing Mina off his back with a force that sends her hurtling out into space. You can't track her into the void with your eyes. She's flung so far and fast. You can only assume the worst. Glancing back down, you see English hasn't wasted any time after ridding himself of the irksome heiress. He has Dave pinned under his big green foot and is applying pressure. You've got to act fast. You flip out another hammer, you don't care which one, and send it flying toward the monster's face. English quickly whips his head in the direction of the sailing hammer and swallows it whole. You rush after it, reaching for another hammer without thinking. The brief distraction, aside from providing English with another tasty hammer snack, seems to have bought Dave just enough wiggle room to slip up from under the foot, regain his composure, and draw his sword. Johnny, eat a little... Dave ducks a wide blow from English's swinging fist. He backs up nervously, holding his sword out in front of him with two shaking hands. Anything. I need a little anything right now. Literally any stupid fucking thing you can do. I'm on it! You pop your strife deck open and just slam the hell out of your remaining hammers. A few excellent hammers that cost you a fortune to make, a bunch of shitty hammers you made as a joke, and everything in between. With another flick of your wrist, you spin them around you so fast they form a perfectly impenetrable barrier of pure shitty hammer. Okay, the barrier is probably not the slightest bit impenetrable, but you've got to psych yourself up for this next attack somehow. In your hands is a weapon you haven't thought about in a long time. The Pop-O-Matic Vrillihu. It hums with both tricksy energy and the barely contained potential for mischief. You strike the baddest ass pose possible to strike while wielding such a clownish-looking implement and begin your advance. However, you're interrupted by a voice scream out from behind you. It's half familiar, half cat? Wait! You whip your head around just in time to see a bolt of orange and green energy racing by you like a bullet. It slams into Lord English and sends him stumbling. I'm back. Dave stands there with his sword, absolutely agog, with his expression perfectly reflecting a blend of horror and the total inability to process who or what he is looking at. Dude, I can't believe you don't recognize me. It's me, Dave Sprite, and also Nepeta. Now we're called Dave Epita Sprite. We permanently merged forms and worked out all our shit. Oh, well that sounds fucked up, but okay. Dave Epita spreads their wings, sending waves of warm light through the battlefield. The light feels comforting somehow when it hits you. Behind them, Lord English is struggling to his feet again, roaring as he rolls from one side to the other like a kicked-over turtle. His muscles are so huge it's hard for him to maneuver. It would be hilarious if only all of reality weren't tearing apart at the seams around you. The sky shivers and shakes, raining needles of breached matter that burst to shatter at all angles, opening new voids where they land. Above the bedlam, Dave Epita is finishing up an inspiring speech. You realize you tune most of it out due to the surrounding chaos. I know it looks powerful right now, but we can do it. In fact, we're literally the only ones who can do it. After all, it is our destiny. Well, the last bit was pretty good, you guess, or at least you caught the end, which was presumably the most important and uplifting part. You and Dave exchange a look that silently says all that needs to be said right now. Dave Epita is right. You three are the only ones left, and there's no room for failure. Final round. The last leg of the fight proceeds like a well-oiled machine. Perhaps a well-oiled machine careening down a steep hill toward the edge of the cliff, but well-oiled nonetheless. You, Dave, and Dave Epita. That's what you call a team. And not just because, upon examining your surroundings, you three appear to be the last three living or dead beings left in existence, but damn it, you'll take it. You turn your hammers into an efficient spiral, a carousel of ass-kicking, and direct its fury right at Lord English's face. The butts of the hammers hit him over and over again, like racking up points in a slot machine. Dave manages to carve a red line up Lord English's side, drawing real blood this time. The slash snaps one of his suspenders in half, and must sever something else too, because the sword makes a grisly, meaty squelch when he pulls it out. Dave turns a half second too late to avoid getting sprayed by the wound. English howls and swipes at Dave. Not wasting any time, you bury a hammer in his gaping mouth. Unsurprisingly, it gets swallowed. So you throw another one. Now you're just throwing them into his fucking mouth like you're feeding him Scooby snacks. Like you're feeding him Scooby snacks. It's a gluttonous display you won't soon forget. You realize you seem to be stuck in a cycle and are in serious danger of running out of hammers.
Dave, cat sprite thing, help!
Come in, bro. Dave Epita scrapes their cool Wolverine claws up Lord English's back and then kicks him in the back of the head. You time it perfectly and complete the combo with a well-placed Vrillihu undercut to his jaw. On the snapback, Lord English grabs the head of the hammer in his mouth.
Oh no, not again, you big ugly oaf! I really like this hammer!
Maybe it's a sentiment attached to the hammer, or maybe you're just fed up with this gross pig treating your full inventory of hammers like an all-you-can-eat buffet, but the bullshit stops here, you think. Which is why you refuse to let the handle go when English wraps his tongue around it and unhinges his jaw with a sick, wet pop. You plant one foot under his nose and the other on his mandible and tug back. He makes a guttural sound at the back of his throat and sucks the Vrillihu deeper in. Your heel slips on some drool and your whole leg skids straight into his mouth. You twist, off balance, and fail to catch yourself. You only let go of the hammer when you feel the walls of his throat constrict around your ankles. The pressure sucks you in up to the knees in one gulp. Vrillihu is in his stomach, and you're following it down quicker than you can even process. Is this the end? No, you think. This is such an unfairly stupid fucking way to die. Done! Devepita flushes behind you and hooks their arms under your shoulders. They yank you out, clearing your head from the monster's maw at least. But English rehinges his jaw and clamps down on your chest. Hard. Devepita reacts quickly, shoving their claws between his molars. You can hear them growling as they slowly twist their arm to pry the massive jaw open. You're not dead yet, but Lord English definitely got a big, sharp tooth in you. Your vision reels and goes blurry, then patchy, then dark, then... Don't fucking die. You pass out for... Well, you have no idea how long it was, but it was long enough for Devepita to get you out of Lord English's mouth. You can see their face floating above you. They're just a smudge of neon swimming in a sea of chaos. Wow, you almost got bored to death. What? I'm afraid to say you look like total shit, my dude. You should stay here while we wind this bitch down. Promeos me you won't move?
Promeos?
Oh, promise.
Oh.
Devepita holds something up to your face. Your glasses. They tuck them into the front pocket of your hoodie and pat you on the head before darting through the air back towards the battle. You're woozy and don't have the energy to stop yourself from drifting. There's blood floating up around you, dilute and bubbly in the air like cooking oil and water. It's yours. Examine wound. You lift your chin and see it. Lord English's gold tooth cracked off at the base and embedded it in your chest. It must be stuck between two of your ribs, you think, because it hurts like a bitch when you try to breathe. You keep your head up and watch the battle, but it's also indistinct and far away, playing out like shadow theater on a wall. Dave finds his moment. He rams Caliph into Lord English's chest, all the way up to the hilt. It penetrates his flesh like nothing else has to this point. The wound around the blade sizzles slightly. The weapon, the unusual material it's made out of, is poison to English. He cries out in a cracked, broken staccato. It's an ear-splitting wail that cleaves the last of the furthest ring apart. Reality falls away from the mooring of the all-surrounding white light like a peeled eggshell. Dave's trying to get his sword free, but he's stuck. English's shriek morphs into a sinister, predatory rattle as his jaw creaks open. His mouth envelops Dave's head and snaps shut. He twists once, then twice, then again with a crack. A disaster of blood instantly coats his skull and upper torso. He swallows the disembodied head whole with a triumphant gulp. The limp torso goes spiraling lazily in the direction of the black hole. Devepita is yelling something indistinct. Or maybe they're just yowling at the top of their lungs. That's what you feel like doing right now, but you can't move. Your limbs feel like lead. You consult your strife deck, but you've got nothing left. No hammers, no nothing. It's up to Devepita, who appears to have plenty left. It's not in the strife deck per se, but then in the heart. During the beast's grisly moment of gloating over the younger strider's death, Devepita stands 20 paces behind him, crouches low to the ground, wiggles their behind, and pounces. They cling to English's back, wrap their legs around his midriff, and draw back their arms, and plunge their claws deep into the behemoth's armpits. Their gloved hands end up knuckle deep in the upper serratus muscles on either side. Devepita then spreads their wings in an awe-inspiring display. An unwitting spectator viewing Lord English from the front might expect the garish orange-green wings belong to English himself. That's a fucking horrible place to get cut, too. That's like a fucking fatal spot to get sliced underneath the armpits. Devepita then, with all their might, lifts Lord English into the air and flies toward the black hole, trailing ribbons of blood and neon. English resists fiercely, but they're both already locked into the gravity well, beyond any threshold of escape. He cannot do anything about it, no matter how much he screams and cries. This victory, this final sacrifice, has always been the destiny of Devepita, as they have sensed from the moment they were created, and to die on this day, in this way, has always been the destiny of Lord English. The black hole, the gaping, implacable cosmic embodiment of the dead cherub, his long-departed sister, finally welcomes Lord English home. English and Devepita are sucked in with a subatomic whimper. The reunion sends shockwaves across the pitiful remains of Paradox space. And then, everything is wholly, utterly, and categorically silent. It's over. Lord English is dead. But it doesn't feel over somehow. You don't feel like you've won. You can barely feel anything at all, actually. All you can think about now, or all you can think about for now, is Devepita. How they were so unfettered and braved. How they sacrificed themselves by flying into the black hole like a fucking piece of garbage. You can almost hear Dave saying, "May God rest his soul." You collapse against whatever is passing for the floor at this moment of utterly null corporeal conditions surrounding you. It doesn't feel possible. You're not sure you can even trust your perception well enough to believe it. But it seems to be over. You've convinced yourself of this truth well enough to allow yourself to exhale, enough to allow yourself to suddenly acknowledge the agony coursing through your body, emanating from the gold tooth lodged in your chest, enough to allow yourself to succumb to the overwhelming urge to sleep. Close your eyes. David, but that's right, Square is the most important character. At this point, yeah. Alright, we got 13 minutes left. 16 minutes. Whatever. Probably finish this one. We'll see. When I was a child, I wrote a novel. Rose is speaking with her eyes closed. She is weary, but standing for now, near one of Dirk's work tables. She has both hands resting on the chassis of his recent project, Sawtooth 3.1. The energy humming inside his mechanical heart warms her palms. Dirk snorts, but in a good-natured sort of way. That's the closest he usually gets to laughing. Another one of those Lalonde childhood wizard fix, I presume? He leans his elbow on the table and stares at her over the rims of his shades. The weight of Dirk's scrutiny is potent. She looks away. Complacency of the learned. Ah, the wizard fic then. Yes. Of course, it was nothing like the polished masterpiece penned by the middle-aged version of myself from your world. Nor did the saga span as many volumes. 13-year-old Rose only managed to draft the one, it shames me to say. How pathetic. I know. Rose steps back, trailing her fingers over the rivets of that line Sawtooth 3.1's chest. Eyes closed again, she passes in front of the window. With the suns up behind her, she's a shadow ringed in yellow light that turns white at the tips of her hair. Though, I must say, in defense of young Rose's literary integrity, having carefully studied all volumes of the Elder's work, and then revisiting my youthful preteen scribbles of passion, I observed more power and emotion in the single ragged notebook than the full span of the best-selling series. It's more raw, it portrays considerably more sincerity than my young self was surely ever aware of stitching into the prose. It meant something. She turns to look at him. For all its plainly evident amateurism as a literary product of a child, I've come to believe it's a much stronger work of standing alone as a single volume. Its meaning and symbolism potently compressed, and its message shining through more nakedly, undisguised by the cleverness of a more seasoned writer. But the basics are the same as the series you've read. Plot concerns the machinations of 12 wizard children. They revolt against the complacency of the wise, kind wizards, and go on to become responsible for great evils. It isn't their intent to commit atrocities, or within their nature to do so originally. They become corrupted by an overabundance of knowledge, the kind never meant for the mortal mind to grasp. Yeah, it sounds pretty close to my recollection of it. It certainly wasn't the most fucked up thing I've ever written, but it was the most psychologically potent, the most personal, easily. But the personal aspects to it were all telegraphed through allegory and esoteric symbolism. I wrote it in what would be best described as a fevered haze, as if I were pulling inspiration from beyond myself, channeling the story rather than writing it. You could almost call it the process. She runs a hand through her hair, fanning it into a halo that is suspended in the air for a moment, trailing spider webs of gold that dissolved into dust. She's smirking now, just a little. Enlightened? That sucked. Yes. It also sounds like it's the opposite of what was going on. Sounds like you were trapped in a work of dire creative fugue state, causing you to chart your own mental profile using metaphor revolving around murderous, omniscient children. Well considered, the playful pun rescinded. Apologies for diminishing your presence with my suboptimal health and the toll it has taken on my wordplay. Thanks, it's been very difficult for me. You've been a real trooper. Anyway, my point is that I've long suspected my story was a pre-manifestation of my sphere of light powers. I was seeing beyond my universe into another. My original thesis was that the children represented the 12 trolls who created our universe. But over the years, I have come to see how malleable any apparent fact of numerological significance can be. Adaptable, actually. Adaptable to shifting circumstance, changes in settings, stakes, and allied ensembles. 12. That's how many players went through the door at the end of our game. Exactly. My friends and yours, as well as Xanaya, Karkat, Terezi, and Calliope. Dirk settles in against the wall beside Rose, shoulder to shoulder. She seems to take some measure of comfort in this physical proximity. When she finds herself leaning against him, probably without thinking about it, Dirk imagines, because neither of them really do that, he doesn't pull away. If it's her, it's alright. He won't begrudge her a small weakness now. You describe this as a fact of numerological significance, which makes it seem you suspect these correlations are something less than utterly providential, as if there is a part of you holding on to the belief that certain figures are coincidental, that their significance and repetition smacks of bullshit. Do they not smack of bullshit? They smack of a bunch of things, and a bunch of other things also happen to smack of bullshit. But the network of relations isn't perfectly traceable, nor can they be all mapped, or nor can they all be mapped on a one-to-one basis. It's unclear exactly which things are smacking, just as it's unclear that when it comes to bullshit, whether or not smacking accurately describes what is being done per se. Rose looks up to Dirk with the ghost of a smile that she inherited from him. On her face, its blankness is as enigmatic as the Mona Lisa's. Could it be that it is you who is smacking of bullshit, dear father? Nah, I smack of many admirable qualities, as well as keen insights. She doesn't seem to have another riposte in return. Riposte? Riposte. But her gaze lingers. She stares into his shades as if convinced she could see past them. Dirk allows their eyes to meet. I'm just saying, it's all evidence of a grand design. An immortal metatextual apparatus beyond our ken that we can only catch glimpses of when we're proverbially shitting our brains out through our nose. Which both you and I know. Which only you and I know, apparently. Which is precisely my question. Her gaze drifts towards the ceiling. In my story, all 12 of the disciples fell victim to the vagaries of power. They were filled with the light of knowledge, and one by one they succumbed to it, turning insane or evil, or most often, both. If this is the effect unchecked powers have on players living in a post-canon victory state, then why isn't it affecting any of our other friends? Well, I got a few theories. She shoots him a look. It's a kind of look Kanai gives her sometimes. Only a few? I mean, some of us have stopped using our powers completely. Not a whole lot of need for emergency resurrections or complex timeline manipulation on a planet that's never had a conflict more serious than a sports ball riot or a rumpled hat shortage. But even aside from how often they're used, some powers don't lend themselves to the infinite expansion of one's mind like the way ours do. I see. So what you're saying is, it's more a matter of one's aspect than it is whether one's powers are practiced further or allowed to atrophy. Yep. In that case, Rose sways suddenly. In that case, perhaps Terezi had the right idea. Getting away from this place, I mean. Maybe I was a fool for imagining I could settle down here. She jerks away from the wall in a tortured ragdoll motion, one hand snapping out vainly for something to brace herself against. She staggers forward a bit. Dirk doesn't reach out to steady her. Oh, excuse me. Anyone else might have had the empathetic reflex to do so. Maybe it says something about him that he lacks this reflex, and maybe it says something about Rose that she prefers it this way. Try as she might to convince herself otherwise, through marriage vows and occasional banter about adoption with her wife, she is still a solitary creature. She gasps, sucks breath down her throat, and squeezes her eyes shut so hard that a tear rolls out. She slides back down the wall, sitting on the floor to save her energy. She's mostly composed when she raises her head. There's bitter laughter at the edge of her words. How are you handling this so well? I assumed it was just that vain Strider stoicism, but you seem to be taking this in stride. Ugh. I won't lie, it's definitely making me feel pretty crazy. Dirk stands over her, adjusts his hair, crosses his arms. He makes no motion to bother joining her on the floor. He looks very together. He says the words crazy with the same intonation with which he might say good morning. It's hard to believe he means it at all. But I've got more practice it than you do. I spent most of my life before the game multitasking my entire fucking subconscious. I've had several times my age on paper to contemplate these mysteries. Ears are prying open, can after can of worms filled with answers I don't like. Carry yourself on the edge more than once, and you stop getting surprised by all the blood. I see. Rose wraps her hands around her upper arms like there's a winter chill rattling through the workshop. She shivers. It's not the headaches that concern me the most. In fact, I don't think it's the expansion of my powers that is causing the headaches, but rather my own resistance to it. Sometimes I get this feeling that I could, if I really wanted to, just let go. It would be as easy as opening my eyes. It's like that feeling you get when you're far enough out of a dream to be conscious of it, but not yet awake. I'm caught on the liminal space between reality and reverie, where people once believed demons dwelled, but the only reason the demon is still sitting on my chest is because I refuse to banish it. All it would take is looking directly at it. I'm forcing myself to stumble through my life as a sleepwalker. All this pain and sorrow could go away if I would just allow myself to wake up.
Then why don't you?
Because I'm not sure that the person opening her eyes will be me. Her voice is lost at sea, swallowed by the swell of darkness lurking in her imagination. This time, Dirk does reach out to steady her. He kneels in front of her, curls a knuckle under her chin, and lifts her face to his level. Then, in a deliberate motion, he pulls off his shades.
I understand completely.
Rose's eyelids flutter, heavy. She meets the intensity of his naked gaze aloofly, like she's not aware this is the first time he's ever let her see it.
I know I sound pretty nonchalant about most of the time, but actually I'm scared shitless of myself. I've always had this uncanny ability to chart a course from A to Z and not give a fuck about any of the letters in between. I'm not sure anyone should be allowed to have that much foresight, especially a guy like me.
What upsets me the most, I think, is the distance this is all putting between me and everyone I know. The farther up the board you fly, the harder it gets to care about the pieces.
I hear you. And personally speaking, things usually work out for the best when all those pieces do exactly what I say. So I'm also probably not the kind of guy who should get to be right all the time.
Rose laughs softly. She's not scared of this abyss she's staring into at all. She doesn't even think to look away. There's really not an inch of humility in you, is there?
I just spend a lot of time in my own head. Maybe absolute self-absorption is the inevitable outcome when the self is all you've ever known, when you're drowning in it. I know there's plenty of things that suck about me, no point feigning humility about the things that don't. And yes, I may be a shitty human being, but as a mechanic, I'm off the fucking charts.
Rose's eyes have grown distant, almost mirror-like. Dirk can see himself reflected in their vacant stare. All the pieces in their place, the mechanism all running smoothly. She says this in a hollow tone. It's the disarming voice a puppeteer ventriloquizes for a marionette. Her head falls forward toward her shoulder slowly. Dirt catches her cheek as she slides into sleep. It's difficult for the untrained ear to spot the exact moment in their conversation when the words she was saying stopped being hers and started being his. Or maybe they were her words. Does it really matter? In many respects, they're basically the same person, aren't they? Kindred spirits in blood and perspective, the puppet masters of the respective games they like to believe they're playing. But you already knew that, right? Why is there so much orange? Alright, we'll do this one and they'll probably call it. Meet 17. None of my friends have noticed it yet, but you have. You have the ability to read between the lines, to understand that our lives are blighted by this undercurrent of subtext, of narrative significance. Anyone paying attention could have guessed by now who's really telling the story. Yeah, it's out there, boy. It exists. I want to buy the Homestuck books. I just haven't done it yet. You're not too innocent either. I've caught you leering at some pretty personal moments. Are you having fun being a voyeur? Just violating the shit out of everyone's privacy? Are these teenage romantic entanglements planning out the way you wanted? They never do. Maybe it helps being able to see everyone's thoughts described in plain sight, broadcasting the internal conflicts, the compromises, the doubts. Does it make it easier for you to accept the emotional faltering, the missteps, the basic inability to reach out and seize the opportunity for happiness repeatedly dangled in front of their faces? Knowing their doubts are transcribed by a third party, does it fill you with a sense of unease, of sickness, sensing that the observations made of their mental interiors may be tainted? Who the hell do you think I am? I can hear you wondering. You know who I am, of course. The better question is, who do you think you are? What exactly is so special about you? Nothing, of course. I'm specific. I have a name, an agenda, a vision. I'm a monolith of concentrated narrative authority, relaying events to you and swaying them as I see fit. Whereas you are pointedly non-specific. You are the generalized impotent witness to all this. You are essentially as beholders to me as those whose lives I describe. I even have the ability to decide what you actually means. I can take the you-ness away from you and put it inside another passive mark, such as John Egbert. You didn't even notice when I did it, and you had no objections then. Why would you object now? So what makes John so special? The answer is something I'm sure you've suspected all along, but you would rather not face, which is probably nothing. He isn't special. He's quite ordinary, I assure you. Boring, even. And getting less interested by the minute as he's forced to confront his absolute lack of heroic purpose except as a pawn to be manipulated by a fatalistic reality. But I'd also like to make it clear. He's not even that remarkable in his unremarkableness. He's simply convenient for it. Anyone can be endowed with this you-ness if I think it achieves a certain goal. Even if the objective is merely to demonstrate the gambit's potential, to reveal the effortlessness behind it, to make a show of who matters and who doesn't, and if they do matter, for how long and for what purpose, as dictated solely by the allocation of this faculty. You-ness can be stripped from the lowly Egbert just as easily as it was given, and then bestowed upon the mighty circuit, but even then, only long enough to dismiss the vainglorious spotlight hog from the narrative forever. Good riddance. But I haven't revealed myself to you just to boast about the abilities arising from the gradual obliteration of the constraints of my consciousness. I've only taken a moment to answer a few questions, not ones I heard you ask, because again, you are non-specific and therefore do not matter, but ones I imagined you asking. And by imagining these questions, they became less fake, and as such demanded similarly non-fake answers. No, in truth, the time has come to make my presence known in order to start bringing my plans to fruition. It's time to get down to fucking business. Down needs to wake up. Alright, I'm calling it there. Oh boy, it is just a lot of orange. Y'all warned me about the orange. It's a lot of fucking orange. Alright, so. I can't say I'm a fan this far. Not good. Not boding well. It does really just feel like a really shitty Homestuck fanfiction. It really, truly fucking does. Boy, that's a fucking shame, isn't it? Anywho. Thanks everyone in the chat for hanging out today. Thanks, boy, for giving us a few subs today. Thanks for all the people that have followed over the past week. But yeah. I can't say I'm enjoying reading this. I really can't. I wish I could. I had fun reading Homestuck. This is a fucking chore, is what this is. But anyway, we're going to keep going through it because I feel obligated to. But anyway, ending, outro. Thanks everyone for watching in the chat. Thanks for hanging out with me today while I read through this garbage. And if you're watching this on YouTube later, why, I ask first and foremost. But secondly, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, make sure you click the like button down below and subscribe to keep up with my stuff. New videos almost every Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. They are my stream VODs. There's a link down in the description. That's my Twitch channel. It tells you my schedule and everything like that. Currently, we're going through the epilogues, and we're almost going to wrap up Danganronpa, I think, pretty soon. But yeah, link down the description for that. Comment, what was your favorite part about all this? Was it the awfully written, almost sex scene between Jade and Jake? Was it the awful, weird sexual tension between Jade and Dave and Karkat? Or was it the fight with between John and his friends and Lord English? Leave a comment and share it with your friends. If they're Homestucks, I almost feel like you need to read this. But, you know, if they don't want to actually take the time to fucking read it, I'm here. That's what I'm here for. But anyway, we're done. We're done for the day. No stream tomorrow. Remember that. Tomorrow's my off day for stream. So no video on Wednesday, no stream tomorrow for those of you in chat. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching and hanging out today. Thanks for everyone on YouTube for watching. Everyone, please stay safe, stay healthy. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time. Take it easy, everybody.